So what you said?
No, I guess he was putting his end on mute. What up, you? What up, Malachi?
What up, yo?
No much. Hey, yo, man, I like the Oklahoma video, man. That was hot.
Yeah, thank you. I think we're gonna win it all, dog.
What are you on about, American? Oh, he's on the.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ingrid Jones, and tonight I am joined by some very special guests. I have Dangerzone Boxing to my left, or to my right, whichever way you're looking at it. Then next to Dangerzone Boxing, Sheehan, the new signing from Team Fury, the heavyweight. Big things expected of him from Peter Fury and Team Fury. We'll be talking to him. Next along, we've got Liam, who does our moderating, and he says that I've called him his apprentice. I'm not too sure about that. He's just a good man doing a great job. Moving next one on is Bo. Now I've got to remember what Bo's show is called, but he's doing a phenomenal job in his show, bringing truth to boxing, the boxing world. So I'll be talking to each one of them step by step along the way. And then we'll go into a major discussion, almost like a Royal Rumble. Okay, first we'll start with Dangerzone Boxing. Good evening, Dangerzone Boxing.
How you doing, man?
Good to have you on the show. Where are you hailing from?
I'm in Virginia currently. Originally, I'm from Oklahoma. Fought out of Missouri. My trainer was Irish Johnny Copeland. He fought Aaron Pryor and a couple other big-name fighters. Passed away a few years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that. But what was he like as a trainer?
He was an excellent trainer. He was a bit punch drunk, but when he would talk training, all the slurring and the shaking would almost totally disappear. Wouldn't all the way disappear. So he was much clearer to understand when he would give you training instructions and when he would just try to talk to you on a normal basis.
Okay, great stuff. So tell us a little bit more about Dangerzone Boxing, which is on Facebook. You do some fantastic work over there, do some brilliant videos I've seen. So tell us a bit more about that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I joined with Dangerzone Boxing Talk. We're on Facebook. We got 23,000 subscribers right now. We've been going for about 7 months, so we're adding pretty quickly. It's me and two other cats. One kid's from Australia, and the other kid's from I want to say from Washington, the state of Washington. He's a trainer. The other kid, he's a fighter out of Australia and a trainer. We just try to bring an unbiased perspective to the boxing community, because there's a lot of bias going around on YouTube, a lot of bias even going around Facebook in these groups. So there's a real need for people to come unbiased and just bring the hard truth.
That's why you're on the show, brother. That's what we like. Unbiased talk. And we're definitely going to get down some business with that later. So thank you so much. Dangerzone Boxing will come back to you a little later. Next up, let me make sure I'm saying this brother's name right. Sheehan?
Sheehan.
Sheehan! Okay, so you got it right. Sheehan. And you are from Ireland?
From Ireland, yeah.
Which is where I am at the moment, in Ireland. I'm in Ireland at the moment. So, happy days. So tell us a little bit about you and your background, your amateur record, and obviously you turning pro.
Yeah, I've 6 national elite senior titles. I've 4 heavyweight, which is 91 kg in the amateurs, and then 2 at super heavyweight, which is 91 plus kg. And yeah, I've never lost a fight in Ireland in the amateurs at senior level. I've won amateur titles for the national championships at all the age levels. I've won multi-nations tournaments. I've been on the Irish team since 14 years of age. Started boxing at 11, 12. You know, I've been on the Irish team the whole time. Most of my fights are actually international fights because it was hard to get fights, you know, at home. The people who could compete with you, you know, around local areas, it was hard to get fights. So most of my fights are actually international level, and I have about 250 plus fights, won 230, give or take a few. So yeah, it's been a good ride, but amateur days are over now, so try and bust onto the pro scene, you know.
What's been the most important thing you think you've learnt from the amateur game going into the pro game?
I don't know, there's quite a lot. I think maybe just stick to your, I think from the amateur days, for me, I think in terms of fighting, most important thing is just stick to your own game plan. Don't go in worrying about what the other guy's going to do. Go in and do what you're good at. Concentrate on your strengths, and the fight will play itself out, rather than going in and worrying about what the other guy's going to do. And before you know it, you're halfway through the fight, you know what I mean, before you start getting into a groove. So yeah, that's what I really took away from the amateurs.
Great. I'm not going to ask you too many questions because there's other people in the room tonight, and I'm sure we've also got people in the chat as well. So what I'm going to try and do is kind of move on very quickly to Liam. And of course, Liam, how many people we've got in the room tonight, brother?
I've got, I think there's 4 chatting at the minute, but should pick up pretty soon.
We've got about 25 in the room.
Like to ask on Sheehan, how did he come to pick his like manager and promoter? Or if he's got one yet, or either, or?
Well, yeah, what happened was I was talking to an Irish manager, Gary Hyde was his name. I was talking to him for years. I knew about him, and it was just someone I felt comfortable with because I was talking to him for so long. So I got with him anyway, and went to San Francisco, Oakland. Spent my first year as a pro in Oakland. I only had one fight, and things just weren't working out. I wasn't active enough, so we just split and ended up meeting up with Peter, and here I am now.
Okay. So over to my right is Bo. Bo, how are we doing, brother?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I'm doing excellent, man. I'm just glad to be here. Man, good opportunity, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, tell people about what you do, your YouTube channel, and a bit more about you.
Oh yeah, my name is Bo. I'm from Chicago. I fought in the amateurs. When I was fighting in the amateurs, guys, you had guys like Omar Shika, Anwar Oshana, Nate Jones, Ferris Okendo, David Diaz. Angelman Freddie, he was already a pro at that time, but I remember seeing him when I was coming through there. So, I had that. Then, I was okay as an amateur. I wasn't, good enough to like become a pro, but I still loved the sport, man. I followed it my whole entire life. I got my own show called Truth and Facts About Boxing. I'm also doing a podcast every Wednesday. It's called The Movement, and Malachi is one of the guys who I hooked up with, and he hit me up and he was like, "Man, I like what you do," because my thing is I want to keep a positive spin on the sport. Boxing, mainstream media does a good job of projecting the negative part of it. I want everyone to realize that the sport that I fell in love with and all of us fell in love with, the stuff you hear about is not what we love about the sport. There's so many positive things about it, and I don't think that gets enough spin. So, that's what I do, and I'm just glad to be here. And Takan, you mentioned the name Gary Hyde. That used to be Rigo's old promoter too, right?
Yes.
That's right, yeah, that's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of him.
I've heard of him too.
Well, just to let everybody know, I tend to be a little bit biased toward the Cuban fighters because my father's side of the family was from Cuba. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We have another gentleman who's just jumped in the room, and I'm glad he's joined us, Jack Sunderland. Jack, how are you doing?
Good, mate. Are you? Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's good to see you. It's good to turn up late, fashionably late. Slide yourself in. I like it.
Right.
For those people who don't know who Jack Sunderland is, Jack is a fitness trainer, boxing coach, strength and conditioning, does a lot of work with fighters, Reason I've kind of got Jack in the room, as much as he's a really good bloke and a good guy, lots of knowledge about strength and conditioning, fitness. So from the side of talking about training fighters, talking about strength and conditioning, dieting, Jack's your man. So we can kind of dibble and dabble with that tonight as well. So we've got a fighter in the room, we've got ex-fighters in the room, we've got some people from the amateur game, the professional game. Got a nice mix of people tonight, so we can dip and dab and move around and see where we're going with this. Okay, Liam, is there anything particular we need to talk about before we move on?
No, we're all good at Ingrid, man. You lead, mate.
Okay, great. So the first thing we're going to talk about tonight, while we've got Con in the room, is the Peter Fury interview. Many people have much to say about the interview, the Tyson Fury and the drug allegations and the this and the that. You've all heard the interview. I think I'll go along bit by bit, and if those who haven't heard the interview or are involved in one way or the other can have their say. So I'll start this way round from Bo first. Bo, what are your thoughts?
First off, again, I appreciate everybody being here. I got mad respect for anybody and everybody that has an opinion about boxing, so you don't have to worry about that from me. But I was really glad to hear that interview because it shed a lot of light on a lot of things. Because, quite frankly, here in America, we just heard the report that he was being investigated by the UK Anti-Doping Commission, and I did a video about this. And to find out that this is stemming from 2014, and this was still lingering even now, I was telling everybody I understand whatever kind of way Fury and his team may feel about that, because it should never take that long for an entity to decide what they're going to do or what course of action to take. Then from the interview really explained a lot as far as because he said he hurt his ankle. Then people was talking about him jumping around at the pub, and like the trainer said, you can do a lot of things, when you're intoxicated. So I believe that maybe he was drunk doing it. Otherwise, why would the trainer say that? Like, that's not something you would want to put out there. So that's the truth. Ain't nobody going to admit somebody was drunk. So that was the truth there. Then he also shedded some light on the fact that they had thought they was cleared. They got a letter saying they was cleared, only to find out that they had been charged later on. That they had them come in to ask them about their diet and the foods and stuff they was taking. Pretty much it was a situation where it seemed like they were being brought in to find out what could have been the cause of this. Instead, it turned out they were being charged. So I was glad that interview happened because it definitely explained a lot, and it gave you a very in-depth look at what's going on, because the problem with a lot of things in boxing is 1,000 people will hear something, but only 10 people stick around to the very, very end. So I'm very glad you stayed with that story. I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Who wants to jump in and say something?
Yeah, I like to say something, Ingrid, man.
Okay.
I think it's so refreshing when you get someone from the boxing world and come on and speak so honestly what's going on. Like, a lot of fans don't realise about certain stuff that goes on within the world of boxing, and for having Peter to come on and just basically tell everyone what's going on and the situation where it is and at now. So it was quite good to hear it. And I'll just add that maybe people in England probably don't realise that when you hear about this stuff with Tyson Fury, I think it's more than boxing. I think it's more political. It's more someone having their point of view with issues in society, which some people will agree with and some people won't agree with. But at the same time, everyone's in right to have your own opinion, and to express your own opinion shouldn't be frowned upon. So I think there's a lot of people who would assume that what he's saying is not right, but at the same time you have to respect, because a lot of sports people would not have the balls to come out and express his opinion and act the way he does, and I think you've got to respect him and show him great courage for doing that. So
I see Dangerzone Boxing was kind of nodding his head. He was like, yes, and Bo as well. So let's hear what you got to say, Dangerzone.
Yeah, I think like a lot of Tyson's issues stem from the stuff that he has said in the media, particularly about a certain demographic of people. I think that a lot of people, they're out to try to get Tyson. From what I understand from him, I don't know a whole lot about how he's perceived in the UK, but what I get from what he said is he's not treated real well in the UK compared to the other champions, and especially with him speaking out against certain issues, he does make himself a bit of a target. And if this is from 2014, it should have, like my man said, it should have already been cleared up and taken care of.
Con, how does this affect you? Obviously, you're in Team Fury, you're in the camp. How much of this nonsense that's going on at the moment affects you in training, and how much of it does get to you?
No, it doesn't really get to me at all. I'm aware of everything that's going on, but at the end of the day, you know, it's not really any of my business as such. I'm aware of what's going on. I can see the shady side of the business. You know, it's just not right what's happening to Tyson. I think on all the subjects that you touch on, from people having opinions on him, for him sharing his opinions, and what's going on, of course, with the allegations and all. It's crazy, especially because they're asking him, you know, they're provoking him. They're asking him questions that they know what the answer is going to be to, but they're asking it on purpose just to get a story, you know, just poking the fire, you know. And he's not a fake person. If you ask him a question, he's going to tell you straight what he thinks, and you have to respect that, you know. So fair play to him.
Do you feel that within your own career, and now that you're part of Team Fury, that you could actually catch some of that fire that they've been dealing with in your own career now and be tarnished because you're part of Team Fury?
I don't think so. It's probably possible, but you know, you don't think about things like that, and it doesn't really worry me at all, because at the end of the day, I'm my own person. I have my own views. Tyson has his own views. Some of them we'd see eye to eye with, but I think that happens. That's what's happening, including with Tyson's cousin Huey. Because of Tyson's opinion, some people might think the same of Huey, but no, they're different people. Tyson's his own man. They shouldn't be tarnishing everyone with the same brush. You know what I mean? Tyson has his own opinions. Everyone has their own opinions. That's it. You know.
But the brush you probably should be tarnished under is how great they're doing as professionals, and how much of great Peter is doing as well. That's what the media should be looking at.
That's another side of it, isn't it? That's the thing. I think because of their background, you know, they're focusing on stuff that has absolutely nothing got to do with boxing. Because if you rate Tyson and the Furies on what they've done strictly on boxing, they have to be praised. You know what I mean? Tyson's after winning every belt in the game. He beat the man that's unbeaten in his backyard. But how can you knock him? You know what I mean? How can you knock him? It's boxing-wise, you have to give him the dues. You can't look past him. As Peter is a trainer or Tyson is a fighter, so you just can't knock him.
I want to bring Jack Sunderland in the room here. Jack, I want to talk about training supplements, because Peter talked about training supplements and eating certain foods and certain meats. And by eating those certain meats, things were found in the sample he was saying. Talk to me about diets, and talk to me about certain foods now that a fighter needs to be aware of, or a trainer needs to be aware of now, that could make a sample become not suspect but questionable in terms of proteins.
Well, it's not just proteins, but supplements in general. Fighters have got to be very careful. It's not just fighters; it's any athlete. There's a hell of a lot of substances that are banned. So people need to be on top of it and keep checking what is banned or not. I think it's a bit lazy if fighters are getting caught taking certain things. Remember Enzo Maccarinelli, he got done for it, didn't he, for taking a pre-workout. There was just like one ingredient in the pre-workout that got him banned. So I think that's enough, I think, to warn fighters that they need to be careful what they're taking.
But look, I mean, I've seen supplements, and they're being advertised in boxing magazines. So if it's in a boxing magazine, a fighter assumes that, okay, it's in a boxing magazine, I can take it. But I can't believe Maccarinelli took something that was advertised in a magazine and got done for it. So where's the line being drawn here?
I know, it's because that supplement, the drug committee or whatever, they've not had a chance to test it yet. They've not found it, so anyone can sell anything. You know, I could make up my own supplement brand and put some protein up for sale, and no one knows what is in it. I could just say there's certain ingredients in that protein. There's no fact behind it. I know trainers that are actually selling protein powder, and they're probably using the same powder that the other companies are making and just putting their own label on it.
Yeah.
You can add any ingredient you want. So there's no definite to know what is actually in something. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
The professional athletes need to be very, very careful what they're taking.
See, can I add something to that? I listened to recently an interview with John Jones's trainer, and basically what he said was products come through from China, and they're tested, but once they reach America, pharmaceuticals are mixing products with other products, right? So when that goes on the shelf, they're not testing them again.
Yeah.
So there's because they're not testing them, and it might not say that drug's on the drug. It isn't a drug because it's not been tested.
Yeah.
So is the fighter at fault there because he's looking at a product and saying, well, that's not tested. He's going to a website and it's saying that's okay to use.
No, I get what you're saying. No, I understand what you're saying, mate. Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Dangerzone, but both.
It's hard to blame the fighter.
Well, you know, I think a lot of times one of the biggest problems they're having is, and this some people got to understand, is they got so much coming out at such a fast rate of what's legal, what's not legal. There's something that was legal before. Like we just saw with Povetkin with the Maldonium thing that they really don't have an idea how long something can even stay in your system. First they said April, and then they said October. So they have so much that's coming out that sometimes I have to admit it's kind of hard for these fighters to keep up with what's changing on such a revolutionized basis with these different guidelines and different rules. Like a lot of people hear banned substance, but when you look at it, well, how many grams was it? Was it nanograms? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was the measurement of that was in his system? It might not be a ban to where it's, he just recently took it. It could be a ban to where it was, trace amounts was found in their system. And I think that's something that really has to be really looked at and identified correctly.
Dangerzone, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everybody. Especially, I think his name's Jack. I think he's the personal trainer. Yeah. He gave us some pretty good information there. I've seen a program about supplements here in America, and some of them, they don't even test them before they put them on the market, and they don't really know what's in them sometimes, and I just don't see how to get away with it. And I was thinking maybe a fighter would be better to hire somebody who pays attention to the ever-changing substance ban list. In college football, they have a person that is called the eligibility. They keep the players eligible. They don't teach them anything. All they do is make sure that they're eligible under the rules, and that might be good for a fighter.
See, I agree with you with that testing, yeah. But the problem is with like professional football and professional other sports is that every professional is looked after. Where in boxing, if you're a low professional, you are not getting as looked after in that treatment around you as professional other athletes. Like you're literally on your own. If you turn pro in your first fight and you're not a name, you're on your own. You've got to look after yourself. So in boxing, you can't. I don't know if you can if you can look at it the same light.
No, I agree with that definitely. Yeah, you are left to it yourself. I've known fighters at an even higher level than just a novice fighter, and they are looking after themselves. They haven't got a nutritionist. They've not even got a fitness trainer. They've just got the boxing trainer, and the lads are just left to themselves. They've got normal day jobs as well. So you can't. Sorry, mate.
No, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah. No, I was just saying, it is right. The fighters are left to sort things themselves. To be honest, they're not like a football team that's got multi-millions to spend on nutritionists and strength and conditioners and physiotherapists and all that. A fighter, as a boxer, unless you're at very, very high level, and you Floyd Mayweather or somebody, you might have it, but most probably British level fighters, I bet, will have their own nutritionists and people like that who can sit there and look through banned substances. I can't see that. He's right.
Con, can I bring you in for this because
I just smashed.
You're a fighter that's on the go.
I was just gonna ask him. I was just gonna ask Con too.
Yeah.
I was finna ask him. I had a question for him because, like what we're saying is, the one of the other things about boxing is that some of the nutritionists or the people that you hire are under suspicion themselves in boxing for doing something shady. So, Khan, as a fighter, how do you go about making sure that you're that you are with the right person and that person is following the right guidelines so you don't come up positive?
I was thinking the exact same thing myself, mate. You can hire someone, but who's to say that they're straight up as well? You know, they could be a bit shady. So it's tough. And what Jack was saying as well about guys starting out, they don't have the money, you know, to be hiring nutritionists, stuff like that. They're working full-time jobs, training. All they have is their gym, their trainer. That's it. So they're just taking over-the-counter supplements, whatever they see, whatever looks good, whatever they think's natural and is legal. But it's very hard, and it's a tough subject to work out. You know, I think just stick to what they know is legal rather than trying to switch. But as you said as well, they're bringing out so many new products one after another. Everyone's trying to stay on top of it, and it's hard to know what's in everything. Like, there can be trace amounts. You can be producing a couple of products on the same line, and you can get trace amounts of something that's legal. So you could be getting a legal product, but you have trace amounts of something that was produced on the line earlier. So it's very, very hard, you know, to keep on top of all this and be 100% unless you do have the financial backing to have these nutritionists and everything. So yeah, it's a touchy subject, you know.
So as a sport, what should everyone be doing to improve it?
Honest to God, I have no idea. It's a tough one, isn't it? I just don't know. It's a hard question to answer, and I think it'd be a long time before it's figured out.
Do you think we need more money from the top? More money from the top to support the bottom?
But as you said as well, a guy starting out, you know what I mean? Unless you're a big name or well known or get lucky and get in a good team, they're not going to throw money at someone who's just giving this game a crack and coming into it with no real ambition, you know. So it's hard. That's what I mean. Maybe that could help money from the top, but I don't know. I can't see a clear view on that. You know, there's nothing straightforward about that. It's a touchy subject.
It's that our lads could just eat normal food.
Yeah, there you go. But
at the same time, there's certain foods that give you certain stuff you need. So it's hard. Like you say, it's hard.
Yeah, but of course, if you're training in a hard camp, you're going to need the extra nutrition, aren't you? And recover quicker and all. So sometimes all the food and natural food and stuff like that in the world isn't going to do you, you know. So you need these supplements, especially when you're training at a high level.
Just one question, I've got a question coming from Al Red Sox fan. He says, how do you find out the legal products? Who has the list?
Oh, I've forgotten the name. I'll have it wrote down somewhere.
See, I thought there was a website you could go on and put a certain name in, and it will tell you what's in that product. But like you say, if something's added, how often is that website updated with new stuff? So
sorry.
No, I was say plus each testing facility has a different set of requirements. WADA, USADA, each one of them, they have their own different set of requirements. So it's really hard.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, guys, I want to move off this subject and push it on to another subject, which everyone probably will know about. And I'm talking about strength and conditioning again with Jack, but I'm talking about Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook. And I want to talk about the dynamics of the fight in terms of for Kell Brook. Now, there was a recent article and a lot of people making a fuss about it. I'm not, but a fuss about Kell Brook coming in much heavier than Gennady Golovkin 30 days beforehand. I mean, from your experience and your expertise, he's now having to fight a guy who's 2 weight divisions above him. What does he need to do to make that weight division? And should we look into anything in terms of him being 30 days heavier than Gennady Golovkin? Jack?
What do you mean? What, as in how that might affect him?
Yeah, in terms, because he's had his career as a welterweight. All his best wins, all he's done has been at a welterweight. Now he's moving up 2 weight division to fight arguably the best middleweight in the world and the best puncher in the middleweight division.
Well, I think it's too much of a step up for him. The other guys on this talk might know better than me, but I think it's a massive difference. You've got got a guy who's naturally bigger, makes a difference for them punches. Someone who's a natural puncher as well. I mean, we're talking about Gennady Golovkin, who had a top amateur career as well. It's not like he's just a good pro. He's been right from being a young man. He's sort of gone all the way through, hasn't he, at the top. I don't know. I think he's going to be too much for Kell Brook. Me, weight-wise, definitely. Not just skill, but weight. I think he's going to have a big effect on him.
So in terms of
advantage.
In terms of strength, so now I came to you. I'm Kell Brook, and I'm coming to you, right? Well, I'm not going to fight Gennady Golovkin, but I'm giving an example. I'm coming to you and saying, look, I've got a big fight, Jack, and I've got to fight Gennady Golovkin, and I've got to move at 2 weight divisions. But I'm a big guy. I'm a big guy. Well, seriously, I'm a big guy. I'm a welterweight, but I'm going to fight a middleweight. I'm a big bone guy. What do you tell me in terms of getting myself in shape to ensure that I'm physically as strong as I can be and still be able to move? He's saying he can be as strong as he is stronger, punch harder, and still move like a welterweight as a middleweight. Is that possible?
Yeah, I'd have to. Obviously, Kell Brook's trainers will know him inside out, and I don't know if he spars at around middleweight all the time, or maybe even super middle at that kind of weight, it might be good at middleweight. If he's at that weight all the time, and that's what he spars at, and he's sparring top world level fighters at that weight, it might be okay on fight night. But I don't know why he would have fought at welterweight in past if he's big enough to be a middleweight. He's seriously draining himself down if he is a natural middleweight or a natural super middle trying to make middle now. I think he's a big step up for him. I think he's putting himself in for a disadvantage. And if you came to me and asked me for my opinion, I wouldn't want you to take the fight. It must be good money for him.
So physically, what does he have to do to get himself from welterweight to middleweight, and ensure he's not just bulky?
Well, that's all it is. It's bulkiness. That's all. There's nothing else. There's no secrets. If he's only giving himself 2 months or something like that, there's only so much muscle you can gain. So the rest of it is, it's water or it's fat. He's not going to be able to drop enough down to welterweight. So he's going to be. I don't know. Say if he sits around at 12 stone normally, I don't know what he walks around at, but he must have really drained himself down to get down to welterweight before. He's not doing that draining anymore. Might be. I don't know if it'll be a bit of a benefit or not. But in terms of making that weight, there's no secrets to it. There's no way that he's going to be a solid muscle for that fight. He's going to have something on him. It'll be, whether it's extra water weight than what he's normally got, or fat, or what, I don't know. It takes a long time to put that muscle on.
Okay, guys, Dangerzone, you want to start with this first then?
Yeah, like I think me and you have talked about Kell Brook before, and I know me and Bo have. I'm very high on Kell Brook at 147. I thought he was the best 147 fighter in the world. I do believe he is still the most complete fighter that Gennady Golovkin would have seen to date. But I don't like the fight for him either. I think it is too much of a step up for him. I do question whether or not he's going to be able to go back down to 147. If you're walking around, I think he was at 176, I believe. He'd already spoke about going up to 154 prior. I think that might be his next move. He does some things that might give Gennady some problems. He's a very good counterpuncher. But I think that the power and the size advantage. So Gennady's a natural middleweight, and so I think he's just gonna wear him down, and I think it's gonna be a bad night for Kell.
Yeah.
Con?
Yeah, I think Kell he's massive. He's a massive 147 fighter as it is anyway. He's huge for the weight. So and you can see in some of his past fights that he'd struggle down the stretch. So maybe that's a sign of him struggling cutting weight, making the 147. So he seems to be carrying the weight good. When he weighed in there and you see the pic of him and all. He was carrying the weight well, but it depends. Depends how he's going to take these pounds off and get down to the fight weight, and we'll have to see. I think as he was saying, he is a very complete fighter. I think he'll give Golovkin enough of it for so many rounds, but I can only see one winner myself, which is Golovkin. But as you said, I'm sure Kel's getting well paid for it. I think it's the best fight for him at the minute. Where else can he go, really? So, and he's nothing to lose. So it's going to be a great fight. He's going to win. He's going to give it all. He's going to go out in the shield, I think, if he is going out. So it's going to be an interesting fight and one I'm looking forward to.
Bo?
My biggest concern and is that for him to come in at 176 with 30 days left, how much energy, that means that the rest of his camp he's going to be spending trying to cut weight, and that can cut into your energy going down the stretch in a fight like that. So hopefully he's eating right and he's he's doing his dietitian correctly, because to try to drop that much weight in 30 days can be hard. But as Khan knows too, though, sometimes guys fight at a particular weight because when you're in training camp, you lose 17, 18 pounds in training camp sometimes, just training. So, you're working out and all that stuff, so you can get down to a certain weight. But I just feel that fighting, my biggest problem is if Kell Brooks don't have any, one thing about Golovkin is when he realizes you can't hurt him, he's a dog. He's on you. He's going to get you out of there. And if Kell Brooks don't have anything with that extra weight, some pop on his punches to hurt Golovkin and give him something to think about, Golovkin's going to come at him to get him out of there. And I think that's something that maybe why Kell put on the extra pounds is to help his body absorb the punches better. But no matter how much your body takes something, it's your head. Your head wasn't meant to take that kind. Your head is meant to take what your natural body weight is. So that extra weight could actually affect him if Golovkin hits him, because you're talking about a guy who trains from 170 to make 160 versus a guy who probably, is moving up to 160. There's a huge difference there.
And I think he's giving up some speed advantage by bulking up the way he has. I thought he had a speed advantage coming into the fight, but when I see him at 176, I was like, man, is he gonna be able to keep that speed advantage? So I'm a bit worried for him, man.
But the thing is, as well, he's being basically put up there to for a payday, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes. We all can agree to that.
Right. So win or lose, he don't come off bad, yeah.
Right.
Lose, but listen. If he comes off bad with like a bad injury in that, and he can't fulfill his full potential at 147, what's that? I don't know, man. He hasn't fulfilled his potential at that weight, where he was on the way to being very special at his weight. So if he would have brought Vargas over and beat him, then you'd have thought Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman are going to come calling, because he's the first unified champion at the minute of that weight. Mm-hmm. So moving up to 160, if he gets knocked out in a fashion, I believe he's going to get knocked out, and I think he's going to take something out of him for his future fights at that weight.
Yeah.
So we have not seen him at that weight at the minute as well. So at the same time, it's a great fight, and there's probably at the minute there's not a lot of people are stepping up to fight Golovkin, and he's probably one of the hardest challenges Golovkin's fought boxing wise. But can you take it to weight, and what is it going to take out of Kell Brook when he moves back down in weight?
Well, if he moves back down, because the thing is, to me this is a win-win for Kell Brooks. Okay, even if he loses to Gennady Golovkin, he doesn't lose his stature as a 147-pound fighter. He still be the champion, and he gets a big payday, and he gets to take that experience. When you talk about negotiating the fight, like, I lost, but look who I was in with, which is better than anybody else that you guys have been in with at 147. What did you got for me?
Yeah, but what about if everything's knocked out of him and he hasn't got?
Right. That's true. That's true.
He also has the potential for two very big paydays in a row, because Errol Spence just won the number one contender spot by beating Bundu. So he could potentially lose to Triple G as we spoke. He'd go back down to 147, still be the IBF 147 champion, and catch another big payday with Errol Spence. That'll be a big fight.
Yeah, I agree. But it's the point that he's going to go back down to 147, and what's left in him? What's taken out of Kell Brook? What would he have been like before he moved up and got knocked out by Golovkin, which I believe is going to happen. Even though as I'm English and I want Kell Brook to win, and I'll be so happy if he does win. But when you're being real, Can't see it happening.
You could seriously knock a fighter's confidence with a fight like this.
Oh,
Yes, you can. Perfect example is Amir Khan. We haven't seen him back in the ring since the Canelo, so we don't know what's left in the gas tank for Amir Khan. So I agree with you.
But at the same point as well, Ingram's mentioned enough times to me when I've brought it up. Ingram always says that Amir Khan got knocked out at lower weights as well, and all the weights he's been at, where Kelbrick has not been knocked out yet. So,
correct.
But I'm going to jump in here. The concerns of this. Kell has been dropped as a welterweight. He was badly shaken up by Sinchenko. And ask yourself the question: who's the biggest puncher Kell Brook has faced in his career?
No, yeah.
so biggest puncher he's faced in his career.
You'd probably say Sean Porter.
Wait, okay,
but only on the fact of Paulie Malignaggi. That's why you'd say Sean Porter.
Put that in perspective, and then he's going around saying he has no respect for Gennady Golovkin's punching power.
What?
Right? And then he's saying he can't wait to get hit by him.
He's just talking, man.
Quickest couple of million.
He's just selling the fight, man. He's got to sell the fight, so yeah.
Well, okay. I don't know if anyone remembered the face-off between Gennady Golovkin and David Lemieux. You remember when Gennady Golovkin actually stopped and looked at Lemieux? That look he gave Lemieux. Anyone remember that look?
I remember.
Right?
Like he was about to eat lunch.
That same look that he gave Lemieux, I don't know. I've never been. I like Kell Brook's style, but I've always questioned his mental state, and I've always questioned it. He did well against Porter, right? But he was allowed to do a lot of holding against Porter, as far as I was concerned. Hold and hit. That's fine. But Gennady Golovkin can counter-punch. He's a tremendous puncher. I don't look anywhere on Brook's records or resume that he's met a guy that's a good counter-puncher, that is a severe puncher, right? And I'm not convinced in Brook moving backwards. His defense, anyone seen Brook in defense mode? Have you seen what he does when his back's against the ropes? He's got his head in the air. He's bringing his arm like this. I mean, it all looks tailor-made for Gennady Golovkin. Because once he traps Brook on the ropes and Brook can't hurt Gennady Golovkin, it's a done deal. It's a wrap. This fight could end inside 4 rounds. Because if he can't hurt Gennady, and Gennady wants to make a big show or drama show and wants to put a good show on, because he can't afford to be getting rocked by Kell Brook. He cannot afford to be coming over to UK for the first time and looking bad. Because there's fights ahead. There's Chris Eubank Jr. in the future. There's James DeGale in the future. And there's rumours and talking about Carl Froch, whether we want it or not. So, I think
we'll find out early. I think we'll find out early because Gennady Golovkin's not... He's not real hard to hit. HBO has even tried to cover it up by saying he lets them hit him. I don't buy that for a second.
So, Consheen, how would you fight a fight like Kell Brook? I mean, Gennady Golovkin, sorry, not Kell Brook. How would you fight a fight like Gennady Golovkin?
With the baseball bat.
Extra weight on Kell. Kell's putting up the weight. A lot is going to tell on what kind of weight Kell is after putting on. Because he's not going to be able to move from Golovkin for the night. And he's not going to be able to clinch. Because Golovkin's very smart. He's a very technical fighter as well. He's not just a brawler. He's not going to get caught in clinches. If he does get caught in clinches, he's going to work his way out. So that extra weight that's what I think the Brook camp is hoping on. The extra weight is going to be a physical fight. When Kell decides to stand with Golovkin, there's going to be a lot of push and shoving, a lot of physical strength is going to come into it. Because you need to be in close. If you run away from Golovkin, he's going to catch you sooner or later. If you stand with Golovkin in punching distance, he's going to knock you out. So you have to be in the top of him. You have to make it an ugly fight. You have to smother his work. And I think that's the way it's going to go. I think he might try box for a few rounds, then he's going to stand in the pocket and try smother the work, and that's when the extra weight will tell. Hopefully, that's what they're hoping, is that he'll be able to push Golovkin back, because we haven't seen Golovkin get pushed back yet. So,
could you see it as a similar outcome as Amir Khan Canelo?
It could do, yeah, it very well could do, but I don't think, as you were saying, we've never seen Brook move like that and do that kind of boxing. I don't think he has that kind of boxing in him to move and fight that kind of fight.
So I think it's going to be different. I think he will box, but it's going to be flat-footed movement. He's going to sit down and punches, and then when he's trying to take a break, he's going to sit down, smother Kell's work, make it an ugly round, try to get his breather, and then try to move again. But as you're saying about Golovkin, he gets hit a lot, but I do believe he's a very, very smart fighter, very technical, and you can see against Lemieux when that was meant to be his toughest fight. He came out. It was the first time you ever see Golovkin throwing jabs, and he rocked Lemieux around the ring with straight jabs. His boxing was brilliant. So it all depends on how Golovkin's going to come out and how Kell Brook's going to react.
What would you take Golovkin's hardest fight? Would you say it was Gil, Lemieux, or Martin Murray?
I don't know. It's hard to pick, because they're different fights. Some fights he went forward, he just walked through the guys. With Lemieux, he boxed for a few rounds, and then when he had him gone, that was it. He walked through him. And Murray, it was just a matter of time of trying to catch Murray. Murray was such a hard man to get out there, and when he did get to him, that was it. It was game over. I think everyone could see it was going to be game over sooner or later from like the 5th, 6th round on. So yeah, I don't think he was pushed there. He wasn't pushed there. I think he's very comfortable in his fights. When he's getting hit, you can see it. He's not panicking. He's grinning. Maybe that's a bit of bravado, but if you're getting hit and you're getting hurt, you're not going to be grinning. As simple as that.
Do you reckon any of them three fighters would have beat Kell Brook?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Kell Brook is an excellent fighter, and I think his style of throwing punches is going to cause Golovkin problems. He has very hard straight shots he throws, very good straight punches, which is the punches you need to be throwing to catch Golovkin. As the old saying, don't hook with a hooker, you know what I mean? And it's going to be a good fight. I don't know how exactly it's going to play out, but I know Brook will have his moments in the fight. I really believe that, and he's not going to run and try to survive. I think if he's in trouble, he's going to stand his ground and he's just going to have a gunfight with him. So you'll have to see how that works out, because as we know, Brook has a big punch too.
I want to ask everybody in the room one question. Could Kell Brook beat Chris Eubank Jr.?
Oh, absolutely, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
You think Kell Brook can beat Chris Eubank Jr.?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I would. Yeah, I have to go with Kell Brooks beating Chris Eubanks Jr. because I watch Chris Eubanks Jr. and he has moments. He's not as technically sound as Kell Brooks.
Yeah.
Thunderdome boxing.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Thunderdome boxing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Dangerzone.
Dangerzone, not Thunderdome. Sorry.
You're right. No, I didn't know who you was talking to. I thought I was. Yeah, he's a more complete fighter than Chris Eubank, and I would favor Kell in that fight. I believe Eddie Hearn said Kell was knocking around middleweights in sparring, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, but what middleweights though?
Middleweights though.
He could be knocking around middleweights who have had 2 fights, couldn't he?
Yeah. And see, the other thing is as well with Eubank, yeah, like what we judged him on, what I judged him on personally as well. I judged him on losing to Billy Joe. But the one thing you have to respect about Eubank, yeah, is he is always in training, yeah, in a fight or out of a fight. He is always training, and a lot of fighters. I think GGG similar to that. I think Mayweather similar to that. I think maybe Andre Ward is in a similar to thing to that. So the top are always in training. So Eubank has given himself the best chance to be at the top as well. And I do believe he trains his arse off, and he believes he is the best as well. So I don't think he leaves no stone unturned to fill his full potential, even if it might fall short. Because what I'm going on is the Billy Joe Saunders loss, and what I see in that fight, Billy Joe was he's a brilliant boxer and is probably underestimated as boxer. And Golovkin, I think that would be Golovkin's biggest challenge at middleweight, Billy Joe. So.
Okay, sticking with the middleweight division, as Dangerzone Boxing mentioned rightly early on, Earl Spence won against Leonard Bundu, 41-year-old Leonard Bundu. I've heard people online say that Earl Spence is the second coming of Donald Curry after that performance. I've heard Earl Spence the next coming of the whatever. Me personally, that's the thing you should be doing with a 41-year-old. Personally, those are my thoughts. I didn't think he looked great. I think he was getting hit with too many punches by Bundu. In my personal opinion, I think I'd like to see Earl Spence fight somebody, you know, a little bit more, who's got a little bit more to offer, maybe a guy like a Porter, and see how he does against a Porter before we start calling him the next Donald Curry. I'll start with Bo.
The thing that was impressive, that you're right, he was a 41-year-old, but it's the same 41-year-old that nobody was able to knock out, that went, you know, guts and glory with Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman couldn't get him out. So the fact that Earl Spence was able to, you know, get him out of there in the fashion he was able to do that nobody was able to do was impressive. Now, I do want to add that there was 4 other guys, Jeff Horn, Lamont Peterson, Panamarev, and Sammy Vasquez, that all turned down the fight Earl Spence. That's why I got the Bundu. The IBF went down the system, and that's why I got the Bundu. But I personally, I don't believe, like, Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, I don't think those guys, Danny Garcia, I don't think those guys want to get in there with Earl Spence right now. Because, remember, they were slighted to fight him before. When Floyd was, after he beat Manny, he said, hey, I want Porter or Thurman to fight Earl Spence for a title. And they had these, you know, they both had these, I think Thurman said, yeah, okay, I'll do it for $10 million. And Porter was like, well, you know, who is he beat? He ain't beat nobody to be in there with me. So I want to see him get the opportunity to do it, because until he gets in there with a quality guy, we're going to hear these kind of criticism from him. But what I like about him, just like with Golovkin, if he feels you don't belong in the ring with him, at least he's getting them out of there, and he's not going 12 rounds with these guys that he clearly is better than, that these other guys aren't doing. But does he need to step it up? I'm hoping one of these guys will get in there with him. You know, Garcia. I'd even take Robert Dugas Guerrero. That would be a good test for him. But he definitely needs to step it up, and until he does, we're going to have these kind of criticism. But I have to give him credit for knocking him out, because that's something nobody was ever able to do to Bundu.
I know you talked about the Bundu and the knockout. When was the last time that Bundu had fought before? He fought after the Keith Thurman fight. What did Bundu do between the Keith Thurman fight and the Spence fight?
I think he only had like maybe one other fight between there now and then.
Okay.
So he hasn't been very active. I see where you're going, and I get your point, but it's still impressive that he.
The knockout, yes.
Yeah, it's impressive because again, he wasn't supposed. You know, you had 4 other guys that turned it down, but the fact, I think him knocking out Bundu sends a message to all those guys that Bundu gave trouble to. Like, okay, look at what I did. I did something y'all couldn't do. What's up?
Okay, but I hear people say to me that Spence actually is a light middleweight that's come down to fight a welterweight. Does that have any impact on things?
Yeah, Keith Thurman he's a big welterweight. I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. The guy fought, I think he fought at 152 or 154 in the amateurs. Okay? So yeah, he is a big, he's a big dude fighting in that welterweight. And I think the only reason why he went to welterweight, well, I mean, quite frankly, for money. I mean, the bigger fights are there for him at that division.
Okay, cool. Con?
Yeah, same thing. What he was saying there, you have to give him his due. This guy was never stopped, and you could see he was getting hit, but he was looking to get him out of there. You know, when you're looking to get a guy out of there, you're not really worried about what's coming back too much. So he was just letting the shots go, and he got him out of there, and you have to give him his due. But I would like to see him really tested. I'd love to see him in with the likes of a Porter now. That'd be a real tough fight for him. Porter, very physical, very strong fighter, a high work rate. I think that'd be a great fight for him. And after that, then if he got past Porter, that was it. Then he'd be ready, really ready for anybody, and nobody could knock him. So hopefully that fight gets made soon. And even like you were saying, a Guerrero, that'd be a great fight too, because he'd been around the block. He'd a great fight with Garcia. So yeah, I'd like to see that Porter or a Guerrero fight soon, and that'd be really. He'd be knocking on the door then, after that,
Okay. Dangerzone?
Yeah, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna say what I like about Spence because I'm a little bit more critical than the majority of my American counterparts when it comes to Errol Spence. Even uh, inside an infighter, he is one of the better infighters in boxing. He throws excellent combinations inside. He changes the levels with his punches excellently from the inside. Um, Power, he has game-changing power. Uh, but he's still a pressure fighter. And a lot of times you see a pressure fighter gets criticized for certain stuff, but Errol's getting a pass on some of those things. I don't see him really use his jab to dominate, to control distance. He comes in a straight line, and he does get hit, man. It wasn't just in that fight that he's been hit. He's been hit in I think about the last 3 fights. He's been tagged a couple good times, man. And so he tends to get a little bit lazy when it comes to defensive responsibility. Although, like my man said, he is looking to get people out of there. And like Roman Gonzalez, Roman Gonzalez throws so many punches that he does tend to get hit more often than not. So that could be part of it with Spence. He's throwing a lot of punches. He's looking to get fighters out of there. But I think he tends to get a little lazy defensively, and he trusts so much in his power that he tends to let some other things go by the wayside. And he's a swarmer, And historically, we watch boxing. Those of us who've been watching boxing for a long time. Historically, the counterpuncher, the elite counterpuncher, beats the elite pressure fighter. Now, Spence does have the capability to box when the time arises, but we haven't really seen that arise yet at an elite level. I want to see him in with someone like Kell Brook. I think Kell Brook and Keith Thurman are the only 50-50 fights. I think Porter's tailor-made for him because Porter's going to come straight to him. They're going to get it in, and I think he's going to knock Porter out. But someone like a Keith Thurman is going to give him a little bit of movement. Kell's a good counterpuncher. So I think they're about the only 2 dudes that could give him problems. I think, though, if he goes up to 154, he's going to have some issues with some of them fighters up there that are excellent with the sweet science, not just fighting.
Some very good points there. One of the points I picked up there is the moving in straight lines. You look at Spence, he doesn't give any lateral movements, all straight lines, pulling straight back from punches. Bo.
Let me say this. One thing about Earl Spence I don't like, and it goes with your defensive thing, is if you watch Earl Spence, when he's getting hit because during the exchanges, when Earl Spence switches from defense to offense, in the switch, he stands straight up. He squares up. He doesn't keep that chin tucked. He squares straight up, and that's why he gets hit. Because he's yet to learn that with the switch from defense to offense, you still have to sort of, stay low and keep your chin tucked. He squares straight up during the reset, and that's why he gets hit a lot.
And he got hit flush on the chin by Bundu. And you just wonder yourself, if that was a puncher in there, that could have been game over.
And what happens when a fighter can keep him at distance? I want to see what happens, man.
You're right.
Does anyone else want to add anything on the Spence Bundu situation?
No, I think the same thing with Triple G goes with Spence, don't it? They haven't probably fought anyone to anyone's standard of quality fight yet, so it's probably in the set like them two in the same caliber. Even though Triple G is probably a bit more proven and you see him more, I think everyone would agree that Spence looks like a world-class operator in the future, and he probably beat a lot of the fighters that are out there at the minute. But it's just seeing that happen before you can confirm that would happen.
Right. The potential is there, but I'm not going to say he's one of the best in the division. I mean, he's the best in the division. The potential is definitely there, though.
Yeah, he has a high ceiling.
I think he looks good. I don't know, like Triple G, I think they both look good. I think they both look world-class, but as everyone says, until Triple G probably moves up in weight, you won't see other people won't appreciate how good Triple G is until he does move up, even though I think he is very good. And with Spence, no one's fought him yet. So the fighters he has just beat, the last 2 fighters, every other fighter has gone 12 rounds with them 2 fighters. So where you have to give them credit where credit's due, but until they fight the creme of their competition, there always will be a question mark.
styles make fights too. I know that's an old adage, but styles make fights. So just because, like, not taking nothing away from Spence, I think he's a very good fighter. Like I said, I think he's got game-changing power. But styles make fights, and just because Keith Thurman went 12 rounds with a guy doesn't automatically mean that because Spence knocked the dude out, Spence would just walk over Keith Thurman.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like you've had Algieri and Bondu who both have done that.
Well,
so
the Algieri performance again, blowing out Algieri. You got to think to yourself, the two guys that couldn't knock Algieri out. You first had Khan, who started his career as a lightweight, and then you had a Pacquiao, who also started his career at a lighter weight division.
He went 12 with Pacquiao, didn't he?
Yeah, because I'm saying, but Spence is a natural welterweight and a guy that can punch hard, and Algieri can't punch.
I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying, England, but I think there's a point as well where you have to respect that he's done stuff that other fighters haven't done.
Okay, I think Dangerzone Boxing was going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, Algieri's 1-3 at 147. And a lot of people talked about, well, Spence was able to knock out Algieri. Pac-Man dropped him 6 times, you know what I mean? Pac-Man's only had 3 stops since he's moved up from 140 to 147 and beyond. So he's only stopped 3 fighters since then. So I don't know exactly what I could take away from the fact that he stopped Chris. You know, Chris, like I said, Chris is 1-3 at 147.
That's my point. There you go. So
I think what people are looking at though is Algieri was in there with a guy like Ruslan Pavanikar, who was a hard puncher that couldn't get him out of there, and Manny Pacquiao, who many believe is also a somewhat of a decent puncher and could get him out of there. But it's not just Spence. It's not just he's just a hard puncher. Spence is heavy-handed. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to say he has like that game-changing knockout power. Spence is heavy-handed, and he goes to the body like Mike McCullum. He goes to your body like a beast. So, to your credit, if somebody can keep him on the outside, that's when we'll really see how talented he is, because they're not letting him get in. Then we'll see what he can do.
Inside, he's death. He gets inside of you, man. He's gonna hammer you with some just brutal combinations and change levels, head, body, head, just tear you up, man.
So what would everyone's ideal opponent be for him next? If you could choose one opponent, what would everyone give him?
Porter.
Personally, Porter. I'd say Porter.
I would like Porter, yeah.
Honestly, for me, I would love to see him in there with Terrence Crawford.
See,
personally, because that's a guy that's going to give him different looks. That's a guy that's going to give him different angles and make him think in that ring.
Do you know, I feel Terrence Crawford might be a bit too small though. At welterweight.
Yeah. Well, later on down the line, I think that would be a good matchup. If we can get that at 147, I think that would be a really good matchup for him.
Didn't Crawford come to the ring 150, 151, 52 though against Postal?
I think something like close around there, yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay against another like Walter. But to do that against a welterweight,
bad news.
I'd like to see Crawford getting more weight and sort of get out of a bigger weight before he moved up to Spence. So I don't know.
I'm not sure. I want to see that.
That's the fight I really wanted. I wanted for both of them because I wanted Kell to prove, you know, he's as good as I thought he was to my American counterparts. Because I don't know about in the UK, but Kell gets a lot of flack in the United States, and you know, those of us who believe in Kell, we tend to take up for him. But it was getting harder and harder. You know, he was fighting his mandatories and all the stuff that was going along with it. So it was getting harder and harder to defend him. And then when Spence did become it appeared that he became his mandatory after he beat Algieri, and then they came back and said, no, we got to fight another guy. And then Kell, you know, was going to fight Vargas, and then he moved up to fight Triple G. I mean, there's people that in America that believe Kell used Triple G to duck Spence, and it just blows my mind. Like, I don't
No. I don't. You know what? I find some people might feel like that. I don't feel like that because if you're going to duck Spence, you don't do it by going straight to Triple G.
No.
You know, that's my opinion. You know, especially when he was about to fight Vargas. So.
I think Spence, a Thurman fight would be if he beat Thurman in good fashion. He's the real deal, you know, because as you were saying, Thurman will move and has a big punch. he can't afford to make mistakes defensively because he'll get put asleep. I think running in against the likes of Thurman isn't going to stand there leaving tee off on him. Thurman's going to move and he's going to catch it with that big overhand right. You know, Thurman's a beast. I think that'd be a great fight.
My only worry with Thurman in that fight is how good a body puncher that Spence is. And
Thurman has been hard to the body.
That Thurman has shown is getting hit in the body. So
I can add something to that Thurman thing in the body. Thurman, the fight he took against Collazo was not training the way he should have been for that fight. That's as much as I can tell you about the Collazo fight. That's not.
What about the Porter fight?
That's a fact.
He got hit the body against Porter too, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, what about the Porter fight? Did he train? What do you know with the Porter fight? Because to a certain degree, I thought that might have been layover from the accident, maybe.
Yeah, but I can tell you that for the Collazo fight, he did not train the way he should have been training.
Yeah. And would Spence be so happy to rush in and try to get these body shots off when he's getting tagged with these big punches by Thurman? I'm not so sure. You know.
That's a good point.
So.
But you got to ask yourself the question: since Thurman's had that shoulder surgery, who's he knocked out?
Another good point.
No one. You're right. You're right. No one.
Since the was not the Diaz fight, Thurman has been unable to knock any of the opponents out. He's dropped them, he's stunned them. Now, is he a world-class puncher, or is he just heavy-handed? Now, if you're a world-class puncher getting the top guys out of there, is he that, or is his punch overrated? Because if his punch is overrated, then that balances things out. Because if he's not a world-class puncher, and Spence is a world-class puncher, and Spence looks a game changer, then.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Ingram, man. I think fighters get to a certain stage in their career and they can't knock people out. But who would you lot say, as like putting a question back, who would you say the last world-class fighter to get world-class fighters out?
Kovalev.
But what true fight world-class, world-class versus world-class? The last world-class fighter to get other world-class fighters out of there?
I'd say Sergey Kovalev.
You'd say, yeah, okay.
But I mean, people may argue me on that, but I'd say Sergey Kovalev.
Who would anyone else say? I think Klitschko probably would be one of them as well. He's got a lot of fighters out of there.
Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's true. Gonzalez is a fighter that he gets world-class fighters out of there. You know what I mean?
Who's that?
Who's that, sorry?
Roman Gonzalez, Roman.
Yeah, okay. Chocolatito.
Yeah, you know what? I think when you're talking world-class fighters, when they know they're in there with another world-class fighters, they approach that fight differently until they know they got them.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, you can even look throughout, like you said, the analogs, the history of fighting. Michael Nunn versus James Toney. James Toney didn't really, although he was attacking Michael Nunn, he didn't really go for that gusto until he knew he could get Michael Nunn out of there. But up until that point, he wasn't trying to go all in. He was just trying to enforce his will. So when world-class fighters in there against another world-class fighters, it's hard. Like, they approach that fight differently until they know for certain, okay, this is it, I got him. So, but that's a very good point because, like you said, Spence hasn't been in there with no world-class other fighter, and he hasn't been able to knock him out. But also, one thing about boxing that we know is the higher up you go in competition, when you step that level up in competition, the harder it also will be to get a knockout because some guys are just tougher and some guys know how to prevent themselves from being knocked out.
I was going to bring that up because a lot of people talk about Pacquiao, how his knockouts stopped. But if you go back and you look at the opponents that Pacquiao fought during that stretch, they just didn't get knocked out, man. Timothy Bradley, Brandon Rios never been stopped until Timothy Bradley stopped him. You know, he fought all these dudes who just didn't get knocked out, but people were still, he he can't knock nobody out anymore because he's not on PEDs anymore. You know,
See,
not studying.
A question I'd ask everyone in the chat, yeah. What would everyone respect more, yeah? Would you respect someone who can take someone's punch the hardest and take their hardest punch and still stand in front of them, or someone could not hit? What would you respect more in a boxer?
Someone who doesn't get hit all day.
I'm about to say someone who doesn't get hit to me is a boxer. Someone who just wants to take your punch, that's a fighter. So
see, every boxer
I'm impressed by either or.
The same. Yeah, every boxer man I ask says the same answer as what you just said. But a lot of casuals would rather see someone get hit in the face more.
Yeah, I got a question for Khan. If can I ask him a question? Khan, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay. You had all these amateur fights. To go back to what we were talking about, your approach when you knew you was in there with just that dude in the amateurs, like there were some guys you didn't know much about, but you can tell just from looking at them. But when you was in there with the guy, you knew this is that dude. Was your approach toward that fight a little different than the previous ones?
100%, yeah. And that's just the way it is in fighting. If you know that this is a man not to be messed with, that you can't take any chances, you can't make any mistakes with, you're going to approach it differently until you see the openings. You're not going to take, if you're in there with, just say, a subpar opponent, you're going to take chances. You know, you're going to left shots off, you're going to take chances, you're not worried about what's coming back. If you're in there with a guy that you know you miss a punch, you fall short, you're going to get tagged. That makes you think, you know, it affects you mentally, and you have to be 100% before you let them punches off. And yeah, it definitely affects you 100%. That's why I think as well, they're saying about who's the last guy to be stopping world-class, knocking out world-class fighters. It just doesn't happen that often, because when you're at that level, you know what I mean, it's a different ball game. It's a game of levels, you know what I mean? And they're just not going to get hit with the same punches, and you're going to get hit back a lot more often than you're expecting if you're throwing the same punches that you're expecting to catch with the lesser opponents.
And I think a classic example everyone can cut from recent time is the Leo Santa Cruz versus Cole Frampton, because I think everyone can agree them two were world-class fighters, and what they were producing in the ring was something we hadn't seen probably for a few years.
Yeah, that was
Frampton impressed me big. I think I tweeted that Frampton deserves to be on the pound-for-pound list, because this is the guy that won he beat back-to-back undefeated champions in 2 different weight classes, and that was impressive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Leo does deserve a lot of respect from that fight as well. How he come back. He come back was good as well. And that showed you how good the win against Frampton actually was. I mean, sorry, against Leo, how good that win was as well, how he come back against him. So Frampton held on and done really, really well. And yeah, man.
Frampton boxed brilliant that fight. Yeah, I think that was a career best out of Frampton, you know, and it was the same thing we were talking about. When you're in with that guy, there was no... If that was the Karen Frampton in there against Quigg, if that was the same fighter in there with Santa Cruz, he would have been knocked out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, but he's in there. He knows he's to pick his game up. He knows there's no room for error. He's switched on, you know, and he produced the goods.
Does everyone reckon as well, like from not so much from the US, but at the moment that victory is probably would get you in the British Sports Personality of the Year with that victory? Because that's quite a big achievement what he done there. He went to America, he beat the best in that division, and
well, you'd imagine so, yeah. You'd imagine so, especially like two undefeated world champions in 2 different weight classes. It's not often done.
He's my fighter of the year. He's my right now. He's my fighter of the year right now. Nobody's done better than that right now.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think England done an interview with Ali Bashir, and he said,
I think we've got somebody coming into the room.
That's Darnell.
I think that's Darnell Boone we've got in the room.
Yeah. That's Darnell. That's D.
What's going on with it, man?
What's up, man?
Boone. How you doing? Thank you, champ. Good to see you in the room. We'll be with you in a moment.
No doubt.
So let's keep talking, guys.
Yeah, as we were just saying, Darnell, I don't know if you agree, but the world's world-class fighter to knock another world-class fighter out, we were trying to figure out who that was.
Man, I don't know.
So you'd agree that when you get up to that standard, it moves up, so it's hard to knock the people out.
Huh?
When you move up to world level, it's harder to knock world level out?
No, it's actually easier because they get more lax.
Okay. So what do you say the last world level fighter to knock another level fighter out? Who that was? What fight that was?
So it's been a while, man.
Why do you reckon that is though?
I
Not
can't,
enough
I can't,
chances.
I can't really think.
Tyson Lewis, maybe.
But yeah.
Well, hold on. What about Pascal versus Kovalev?
But Pascal was damaged goods. He won world level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So was Tyson versus Lewis. That's what you could say
It
with
would
that one.
depend on if you still considered John an elite world class fighter when he knocked out or Kovalev knocked him out. I'm sorry.
Well, as well we have Mayweather and Hatton. Two of them undefeated.
Yeah.
Mayweather got him out. Obviously, he's not a big puncher, but goes to show that he got him out there.
And they're two world class fighters right there.
Yeah.
Leo knocked out Navarrete. No, it's Navarez. Navarez has been a champion for a grip.
Yeah, that's true.
Guys, we're getting feedback. I need somebody to either pause because I think somebody's playing this show in the background. It might be you, Darnell, playing the show in the background.
You said playing the show? I'm on my phone.
So somebody's getting feedback and getting feedback somewhere.
Who's the culprit?
Yeah, who is the culprit?
I don't know. It might be me with my music in the background because my mates are partying, so it might be them.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. All right. Well, Darnell's in the room now, so we might as well just talk with him. Darnell, people in the room tonight. We've got Dangerzone Boxing to our left. Brandon, Dangerzone Boxing. In next along, the gentleman in the red is Sheehan. I've got that right, Sheehan?
That's it.
Right, he is the newest addition to Team Fury, heavyweight boxer, just turned pro with Team Fury. So fantastic there. We've got yourself, Darnell, we have Liam, and then across to the end we've got Bo. I think you know Darnell, do you not, Bo?
Yeah. We're in the chat room. We're boxing talk too.
Great. Okay, so while Darnell's in the room, the reason why I've called Darnell in tonight, he did an excellent interview the other day with us. We were talking about Andre Ward versus Kovalev, the only man that's been around to knock down Kovalev and Andre Ward. Darnell Boone.
Yes, sir.
So Darnell, the first question I'm going to ask you, I keep getting over and over and over again since the interview. Talk to me about Lara and your fight with him.
Well, it was a pretty good fight, man. He wasn't as skilled then as he is now. He was still a mover. He really didn't have any punching power, but it was an interesting fight. But they got me with the keep warming up and cooling down in the back. So by the time I got out there, I had to warm back up. By the time I warmed back up, it was already the 5th round.
Okay, interesting. So what are your thoughts on Lara as a fighter, though, all round?
I think Laura. I think he turned out to be good, man. He worked hard to get where he at. And he doing his thing right now.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I listened to the interview and I've spoken to Ingram after it, and I looked at your box rep record, and you fought Lara at 156, and then you fought Stevenson at 175. I just wonder why you've such a big difference in weight throughout your career, and it's gone up and down. It's not been you've stayed at 1 and moved up. You've gone up and gone back down again.
Because they never let me get ready. So every time a fight come, boom, if they call me a week's notice, 2 notice, and that's why the weight always fluctuated like that, because they never give me time to actually get to the weight where the fight is going to be.
So I think I heard before you've never said you weren't managed sort of thing. So if you'd have had like a proper manager around and someone to advise you, you think that they would advise you to stay at a certain weight and you'd probably achieve more with your career. Not that you can't achieve what you want to achieve now, but you'd have achieved it quicker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Darnell.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. If I'd have had the right team coming up, coming up in the ranking, well, they should have did it after the Ward fight. They should have started moving me right after then, cause now they saw that I could fight a little bit and I was tough. But I guess they didn't care. And then once I left the people that I was with, then I got it with some people that didn't know as much as they knew. So it was like a big fiasco, man.
What advice would you give to a younger fighter when they come to picking a manager and a promoter? What advice would you say to look out for?
Well, you just gotta look for somebody that got your best interests at heart. I mean, you kind of can tell. I know I could. You kind of could tell if somebody is for you or not. Depending, even when they come out first and you seeing what's going on. Everybody do something messed up in the beginning. So you kind of figure out from there if this guy or this team is going to be for you or not.
Do you think as well, if a fighter takes a loss at early stage of his career and he takes a loss, he can look around and see who sticks with him as well? Do you think that would be an advantage?
You have to repeat your question, Liam.
Yeah. Hey, Darnell, I got something I want to say to you right quick, man. Can you hear me? Oh, no. Darnell?
Darnell, can you hear him?
I don't know if he can hear. Okay. I don't know if he can hear me.
Darnell, can you hear Bo?
You guys can hear me, though, right?
I can hear you. I think you've got the mute on.
Okay, okay, there it is. Darnell, can you hear me?
No, I think he needs to leave and come back in to hear it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think he needs
What's
to.
happened to him?
He's been frozen out, so he needs to leave and come back in, Ingram.
Okay. That's odd. Okay, fair enough. So we were saying.
About how I can't remember. Was it Liam? He was talking about young fighters and losses. I think this generation particularly just puts way too much emphasis on that goose egg.
Is that to blame by Floyd as well? Do you reckon?
I'm sorry. Would you repeat that?
Like losing your O. Do you reckon that's blamed by Floyd losing your O? Too many people protect their zero.
Yeah, I think too many people protect it. They pick and choose who they fight very carefully. I think that they're brought along that way. And when a fighter like Lomachenko went and he fought Salido in his second fight, he dared to be great, but he lost. Now that cats are gonna make excuses, say the low blows, and it's only his second fight. Well, he took the fight. He was attempting to be great, and he lost. But I don't view that as damaging as some cats do, because I understand that he was attempting to be great. You know what I mean? So.
And as you say, you're learning on the job as well. You probably learn more from a loss than you do from like a knockout.
I've heard that, but anymore in this day and age, man, I don't think you can afford it. Because the fans are so fickle, man. Not us hardcores, but the casuals are so fickle, man. If you lose a fight, you were a bum, you were a hype job. Just like if somehow Kell Brook upsets Gennady Golovkin, right? Now, we've all sat and watched Gennady Golovkin fight. We've seen what Gennady Golovkin brings to the table, what he is in the ring. But if Kell Brook beats him, you know what the narrative is going to be? That he was a hype job who never fought nobody, and that's how he got where he was. Never mind all those title defenses.
And do you know what my narrative would be? If Golovkin loses to Kell Brook, I want to go in the corner, and cry my eyes out and hide from England for about 12 years because
Yo,
I'll put it out there. I think
I mean,
a great fighter.
I agree with you. I think it's a very bad fight for Kell. You know, I'm a bit worried about him, and I value Kell as a 147 fighter. I thought he was the best, but.
Do you know what? I understand where you're coming from. You understand, like, a lot of boxing fans will put someone up on a pedestal, and when they fail, they'll forget about that fighter. Where me, I've been on record for saying how good he was. So if he did lose, you'd have to take the flak with it. But I understand where you're coming from. A lot of people will be fake and say exactly what you've just said.
Yo, fellas, here's the thing about boxing that I think. This is the reason why you have fickle fans. In basketball, you can have the world's worst game on Monday, but then you can win the game on Tuesday or Wednesday. In football, you can play shitty on Sunday, but then you can win the game. You can be the hero again next Sunday. Well, in boxing, when you have a bad performance, that lasts for months in people's minds. There's no quick moment for them to forget. So if you have a bad outing in boxing in June, that's in people's minds to your next fight. But as far as the thing, the thing people got to remember is these guys that are trying to protect their own now, unlike Floyd, because let's look at it. Floyd fought Gennaro Hernandez, Floyd fought Angel Manfredi, Diego Corrales, Emmanuel Augustus, Zeb Judah. I mean, I can keep going. You know, he's got the names on there. So if you want to say, okay, the second half of his career, he was fighting champions, but maybe they were still guys that he felt he still could beat. Okay, fine, I'll give you that. But these dudes they don't, at least at the beginning of this run, have those type of names that Floyd have to be trying to protect their own. And because the way it's working now is the O represents dollars. So if you have an O, that's your negotiation power. And to your point about Lomachenko, yes, he lost to Salido, but his mental toughness, he came right back after that and fought Gary Russell.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why his star power still has increased, because he lost to Salido, but he took on Gary Russell, then turned around and fought, Rocky Martinez. So, to your point about that, you can have a loss, but if you come back right after that loss in a great fight, it doesn't decrease your value.
Darnell, you still there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
I had a question for you, D.
What's up, bro?
Hey, man, check it out. Everybody don't know we in the room, real boxing talk, too. I'm in there with you. You said something about the up and down. People don't know that when it came to you fighting Adonis Stevens, they changed the weight on you during that fight.
Yeah, I had signed my contract at 168, and they waited till I get to Canada, and they changed the weight on me. Because they had already signed the contract to fight Chad Dawson.
I want to ask you a question.
So going forward, Darnell, because this is good insight. A lot of fighters don't tend to realize they don't have good people behind them until the first half of their career is going. What can some things that fighters can do to prevent that from happening?
Well, basically, just stand with the team that they start out with. You know what I mean? Because, you know what I'm saying, if you got to build from the ground up, like what was messed up with me is that the guy that I was with first, he already got a taste of that money that he was getting. He already had Kelly Pavlik at the time.
Darnell, what's more important, a promoter or a manager?
Well, the manager, because the manager keep the promoter from dinging you around. You feel me?
So do you think it's a good idea for a lot of fighters to put a manager in charge in part of their family to keep an eye on them and make their family realise what the managers should be doing?
Yeah. Like even when you got a manager, it's still good to have somebody else outside of the business to oversee what's going on, even with you in between the manager.
Darnell, a lot of people don't know where you are at the moment. you are with Gennady Golovkin at the moment training.
Yeah.
So, you're the best man to tell us the kind of mood and the sort of form Gennady's in. Talk to us about what it's like being in camp with Gennady Golovkin.
Oh man, it's beautiful up here, man. Them guys, they're great guys, man. He looking real good for this fight. And every I'm telling you, everybody thinking Brook gonna do something, man. He gonna shock some folks, man, with this performance.
Shock some folks.
Yeah,
A lot of
man.
folks expecting Brook on his back.
Yeah,
They're going to
I
put him broke
Yeah,
afterwards.
think Bushy. Yeah, I think most
yeah,
people think Bushy
but
knocked
one,
out.
yeah, but it's a lot of people that's thinking Brook gonna be the one to do it, and it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Hey,
But
Darnell, I
he
got a
gonna
question.
do. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish, man, because this thing is echoing here.
Yeah, he gonna do it in spectacular fashion, man. If he really have to use what he using in camp with us now, yeah, y'all gonna be like impressed, really impressed.
Should we believe, because you're in camp with him, we see something, but you feel it. Should we believe this man's punching power is the real deal?
Listen here, man. This man is cracking, man. Like,
Okay.
I've been in there with some punchers, sparring and fighting. You know what I mean? He my number two.
Darnell, who do you reckon Triple G's got to beat for the rest of the world to realise how good he is? Because he's not gonna. Sorry, on the real, he's not gonna take the real credit from the Coral Brook fight, so a lot of people won't give him the credit.
I don't really think they're gonna ever give him the credit, regardless of who he fought or who he beat. He beat all the top 10 middleweights that's in his bracket. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but you know, he not from the States, so you know they're not really gonna take to him like that.
So do you reckon his best bet is to stay over in the UK, and if he beats Colebrook, fight Eubank, and if he beats Eubank, fight Billy Joe, and if he beats Billy Joe, fight James DeGale, and if he beats him, fight George Groves, then Callum Smith, and then if he has to go up to 175, go against Nathan Cleverly? Is that a better option for him rather than staying in the States and not being on pay-per-view? Where in the UK, I'd admit that Kelbrook probably wouldn't have been fighting at the O2 in London if he'd have fought Jesse Vargas, where Golovkin has been a bit a part of him selling out the O2, because I believe that Kelbrook versus Vargas probably would have done 9,000-10,000 in Sheffield, whereas I think it was sold out against Golovkin just because how good a name he was. It got sold out in 15 minutes.
Right.
So is it a smart option for him coming over it?
I think it probably was a good move, because over here, man, all the American middleweights, they acting like they got their tail tucked between their legs. You know what I mean? So you just gotta, I guess you gotta go. He gotta go where it's at. You know what I mean?
Follow the money.
Liam, how anxious do you think that Billy is to fight? He didn't want to fight Rosado. He didn't want to fight Sheehan.
I agree with what you just said. I said the same thing to Ingram off air, that I'd like to see that Gabe Rosado fight, but Ingram turned it back to me and said, how many losses has Gabe Rosado had, and how much respect would he get from beating that fighter?
I understand the point.
Rosado is known as a tough competitor. I think he would get credit for it.
But when Ingram told me that, what he said, it made me think that he's right.
But I'm asking though, how anxious do you really believe that Billy Joe Saunders is to get in the ring with Triple G, because he keeps talking about how much money he wants to get in there with him, which I understand about, it's a business.
I can explain that. A lot of Americans look at the British scene as there's a lot of money over here, yeah.
Right.
But what have a lot of Americans failed to see, that there's a difference between you going on the Sky Sports box office or Sky Sports normal channel and coming over here to fight Billy Joe Saunders on Box Nation, but has not got promotional with any major sports outlet. So there's not enough money for these fighters to come over here for both of the fighters to get paid for.
Yeah, if I'm to believe Abel, I believe Abel said Billy Joe wanted as much money as Triple G.
Which he should get. Which he should get. Why should he not get that?
He should get that.
He should get
that. I don't think he deserves the same amount of money as Triple G.
Well, how much
money? Why should
Hold on, go ahead, Daniel.
One at a time. Go ahead.
Why should he get as much as him if he ain't even really did nothing to even get that much?
Right, so you can come back to what is Triple G's best win, and you can equivalate Billy Joe's best win to Andy Lee as anyone Triple G has beat.
I wouldn't argue that.
Come on, man.
I'll respect your opinion. You're a boxer, but who has Triple G beat
But
better
Triple
than
G
Andy Lee?
Champion, I think he's got 11 title defenses now. So
Yeah, I agree.
Supersedes that.
But you got to remember as well, Triple G's going to a different country to earn the money, and Billy Joe's in his own country earning the money. So, as I said, what fighter has Triple G beat better than Andy Lee?
All the top 5.
Maybe David Lumen. David, I don't know, man.
David Lemieux.
Yeah, it's
better than
hard.
Andy Lee.
I
would agree.
I mean to say honestly, it's conjecture. Just get him in the ring together.
Fair point, but I say Triple G's leaving his country to be a best fighter, and Billy Joe's
hold on.
staying in that country.
But hold on. If you look at Triple G's performances, excitement-wise, Triple G's getting guys out of there. Billy Joe Saunders is going 12 rounds.
Yeah, you're true.
But what the crazy thing is that all the guys that he's beaten been guys that been in the top 10 or top 5. Just because when they get in there with him and he making them looking less than he ain't beat nobody.
So but also all those guys he's in, to Darnell's point, Dale, Murray, they was also in there with other top guys and looked it better than when they was in there with Triple G.
Look at Martin Murray's performances. Performance against Sturm, performance against what's the other guy's name?
Martinez in Argentina.
Martinez.
He should be. Triple G beat. He wasn't supposed to be the guy Triple G fought because the #1 contender back out of the fight said he was injured. I think Johnson. I think his name's Johnson or something like that. He was supposed to be Triple G fought.
Toriano.
He was supposed to be. Yeah.
He'd have ran through him too. I sparred with him too.
Yeah, I've heard from you, and I think it's Derek Finley that how hard.
Yeah,
okay,
man,
guys,
dude is the truth, man.
Very quickly, I want Darnell to just give your analysis of Andre Ward and Kovalev very quickly.
Well, I'm rolling with Kovalev. Ward, his last 3 fights, he not looking like he comfortable with that weight on him yet. He's flat-footed. He's getting tired after 4 rounds. Yeah, he's moving his hands, but he's not as elusive as he used to be.
Okay. Guys in the room?
We've had this talk before. Darnell knows. Yeah, I agree with him one thing. He's a little bit more flat-footed than we used to seeing him. I don't know about him getting tired, but maybe Darnell sees something I don't see. But I will say this, though. If it's going to go 12, it's going to go 12 rounds because Andre Ward's just his overall boxing ability and his defense. But Kovalev has good boxing skills also. Think about this. He was in there with Bernard Hopkins, and Kovalev didn't fall for none of those traps Bernard was trying to set. So if Andre Ward is going to win, he's going to have to bring his A game. And, from these last couple of fights, if that weight is giving him a problem, we're going to soon find out. But I'm going to roll with Andre Ward. I think he has just enough to get maybe a split decision. But I still think Kovalev has that power that can change it at any moment.
Con, what are your thoughts?
I think Ward. I think Andre Ward. I think Andre Ward is too good in close fighting. I think he's too good in the pocket. I think the flat foot. I agree a little bit as well with the flat foot being a bit more flat-footed because it's a bit obvious. You can see a big difference, the extra few pounds, but he's very good in close fire, you know, and he's extremely fit. I don't, maybe as well with Darnell, he might be seeing something that we're not, like, about him getting tired a bit quick, but I know from experience with Andre Ward as well. I've been in the gym with him for a year when I was in America. He's supremely fit, you know, non-stop. He is supremely fit, and he seems to be carrying the weight good. And I think he wins. I think he wins this fight. I really do.
Dangerzone?
Yeah, I think Ward's gonna take it inside. I think he's gonna win the fight inside. I almost think he's gonna dominate Kovalev, to be honest. I know he isn't as agile as he was down at 168. But he's still very defensively responsible, man. Yeah. You rarely see him get caught clean, and his boxing intelligence is so insane to me, man. He'll set you up, you know. He'll throw a left hook that's a throwaway just to hit you with the right hand. He sets traps beautifully in the ring. He changes levels well with his jab. I think he's gonna get inside, and I think he's just gonna put a work on Kovalev, man.
Yeah, that's what I think myself. I think the inside work is going to be the telling factor of that fight, you know.
Yeah. Just kind of like he did Carl Frost. He went in there and beat Carl Frost.
Carl Frost was meant to be the strong man, the bully of that fight, and
he got bullied.
You know, Ward bullied him around the ring.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
What's going on with Darnell Boone? He's muted. I don't know why he's muted. Anyone know why?
Yo, Darnell, you muted. Darnell, you got your mute on. You got to turn your mute off.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, okay. Darnell, what were you going to say?
Yeah, but like with Carl Frost, man, he was fighting off emotion. He wasn't fighting to be fighting, to do his thing. He worried about what I did to Andre Ward 10 years ago. You know what I mean? He wasn't. And the thing is, like, Kovalev can actually fight inside if he need to. He just been keeping everybody on the outside of his punches, so he never had to fight inside.
See, I think to knock out Ward, he's gonna have to throw something similar to what you did. I remember you threw a right hand as a blind and came back with an uppercut. That was sort of from an angle. I don't know if Kovalev, you know, he's gonna get those type of angles against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's true. Also, the thing that I think that people aren't giving Kovalev credit for is Kovalev is a good mover. He's a good mover. People aren't giving him credit for that. He's not just some flat-footed slugger. Kovalev's a good mover, but I think that Andre Ward, his ring IQ is going to have to carry him, and he's just going to have to be leery of that punch. All 12. He can't have a oops, I forgot moment with Kovalev.
Right.
Because, you know, he's going to put him down if he does.
Because the thing is, he getting hit by guys he shouldn't be getting hit by. You know what I mean? Like even in the Barrera fight, even Brand landed some shots that he shouldn't get hit by.
That might go back to a little bit about the agility that he's lost with moving up in weight.
He better find it before November.
Hey, Daniel, I got a question.
Joe, as Americans, yeah, is it alarming that there was maybe 2 fights on HBO's pay-per-view, which should have been Kovalev versus Ward, and then Manny Pacquiao fight's been taken off pay-per-view against Vargas? What was like Americans? Could you give us a better insight on what's like happening in that situation?
The HBO budget cuts is part of the problem.
I hate pay-per-view anyway, man. I can't stand it. I came from an era when I think Bo's older than me. We didn't have pay-per-view garbage, man. So I understand from the fighter's perspective to get some paid. I can't stand it from the fans' perspective.
Okay, I want to move out of the light heavyweight division. I want to move into the heavyweight division because we've got a heavyweight in the room, in Con here, and I haven't really spent a lot of time talking to him. So Con, I just want to spend a little bit more time focusing now you and your division. Thank you so much for being so patient, talking about all these smaller weight divisions. Let's talk about you, the heavyweight that's in the room. in the room. Pretty disrespectful to have you in the room and not talk about your career. So tell us, this is your time now. This is the Con Show. Con, tell us a bit more about you and about your career and about where you've come from and where you want to be. Con, why are you talking or we can't hear you?
Hey, can you hear me now or no?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
No, yeah, I was always at the pinnacles from schoolboy level the whole way up. I was always, like I said, most of my fights, all international fights, you know. So I've been mixing it with the best guys in the amateur in the world since I'm a kid, all the way up to senior level. I'm just looking to, I box at every level, you know. I box at every level, world, Europeans, everything. So I'm just looking to head for professional. That's what I want to do. I want to film my potential, give it my best shot, and just see where it takes me, you know.
Your audio's going. You're not clear. I can't hear you clear enough. You seem to be going unclear.
I say now, I just want to give the pro game my best shot, you know. Try to fulfill my potential and see what happens, you know. Because I do believe the heavyweight division, it's, you know, it's open. It's open enough there, you know. There's gaps there, and some guys there up around world level who I don't think much of, to be honest.
We heard you speak earlier about the relationship and why you chose Peter. Can you tell us a bit more about why you chose Peter and the relationship you did?
Yeah, I got called out for when Tyson was first getting ready for the rematch. In Holland. So I called out as a sparring partner and sessions, you know, because I was trying to keep fit myself. So I was in between sparring, and I know it's fairly quick that Peter, he knows his stuff, you know. He was very, very technical, very smart trainer, and I was having a couple of problems being very inactive in fights in America, so I was chatting to him, and yeah, he said I'd be more than welcome to come over now back to England, be based in England with him if I wanted to. So yeah, I snapped that up straight away. Massive opportunity because he has Yuri Fury, you know. I'm not going. He knows the heavyweight inside. He looks after his fighters very, very well. So it was a no-brainer for me, you know. So.
Hey, Khan, as a heavyweight, like you said, the division is wide open, but like, who do you see right now as the dominant heavyweight champion right now?
It has to be Fury, don't it? It has to be Tyson.
Yeah, definitely.
The real heavyweight.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think about Luis Ortiz?
Ortiz, excellent fighter. Very technically good. It's just the same kind of thing. We up with a world-class fighter, don't we? We have to see him in with a top heavyweight before you can make any judgments for what we've seen. But from what we've seen so far, he's top class.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be very avoided. He's too high risk, low reward at the moment.
Clearly, you see, in this game, you know, as you know yourselves, it's not just solely about ability, you know. So he's just not marketable. I don't know what it is. He's not sellable or what it is. He's just too much risk, low reward, you know. So he's not getting his chances yet.
So, Con, how tall are you, and in size, what are you in terms of how tall you stand and weight-wise?
I'm 6'5" and I'm 17 stone, just under 17 stone.
You're not small heavyweight then?
No, not small heavyweight.
Hey man, we're in America. We don't know what 17 stones mean, man.
Stones what? About two? What is it? About 240? Would it be two close to 240?
240, okay. 240. Yeah, about 240. 240 pounds.
Yeah.
Hey, Con, I wanted to ask you about the path you want to take. Do you want to do like a Lomachenko, say, jump right in with the best that you can get in with right away, or do you want to build yourself up to kind of build a name before you step up into the bigger fights?
Yeah, I think I have to learn my trade a bit more. I think that Lomachenko's a freak of nature, you know. The people like him don't come around too often, you know. What he's doing is crazy. He's just gifted. I'm looking to get a couple of fights in, 3, 4 fights in next year. I think I need to learn my trade though, especially in the heavyweights. You can't just jump.
Yeah.
You know, one shot, as they say, can change the whole fight. You know, so I need to learn my trade first off.
We see it a lot though. Especially in the low end of the divisions, dudes are just they go like Lomachenko actually broke his record for winning that title against Rocky Martinez. There's another fighter. I think his brother, Naoa's brother, he's getting ready to be the #1 contender for a belt, and he's only like 8-0. So it's just a little bit different, I guess.
Yeah, I think it is different, especially at them lightweights, you know, because it's a different game, you know. The lightweights and the heavyweights, it's a different sport, man. I mean, you're not going to get knocked out with a jab down at them weights, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the best bit of advice Peter's given you so far?
Peter, all his advice is brilliant. Peter's just bringing me along very nicely, steadily, showing me the ropes. You know, Peter's just not teaching me just boxing. Does
he teach you the business side as well, like give you advice on that sort of stuff?
What about the business side of me? He's teaching me the business side. Well, I'm listening in on conversations. He's letting me listening in conversations about what's going on there with Tyson and Klitschko and that, and it's just really eye-opening, you know, to know the shady side of the business, what's going on, and all these allegations and on. It's great, you know. I'm picking up what I can. I'm just like a sponge. I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can around, because the experience here is crazy.
So a lot of younger fighters could, if they were listening to it, they'd learn a lot of what's happening.
With Peter, what you see is what you get. What he says is what he means, you know, and there's not too many people like that in this game. So he lets you know from the get-go what's going on, you know, and it's refreshing. It's great to be around.
So you've seen Tyson lately?
I have, yeah.
Could you let us all know that you know how in shape is he? Because a lot of people, you know, they think he's not in shape. I personally think he's probably in fighting shape or close to it now.
Tyson's in shape. Listen, that man's he's no matter what's going on. Tyson's in shape. He'll be ready for this fight. There's no doubt about that. Tyson's not a silly man. He didn't get to where he is training. You know, he's looking after himself.
Do you think, hey Con, do you think a lot of people criticize Tyson because they're unable to separate the character that he's playing to promote a fight versus who he really is? Okay, I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you, Con.
Hold on a second. Can't hear you, Con. Try now.
You hear me now?
Just a little bit.
What about now?
It's very quiet. I see your teeth.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're clear now.
Yeah, Tyson, he's nothing like he portrays. You know, he's a straight up man, very decent. He sticks to his principles. He's real honest bloke, nice man. Has time for everybody, and it's a pity the way he's getting portrayed in the media and stuff like that, and what he done, you know, couldn't be beat.
Okay, Carl, I want to ask a question. Hughie Fury and Tyson Fury, have you sparred with both of them?
Sparred with both of them, yeah.
Okay, now break down to me, because I think Hughie Fury's got an excellent jab. How does Hughie Fury's jab rate with Tyson Fury's jab?
The two of their jabs are second to none. It really is. They're a very similar jab. The two of them throw their punches exactly the same way, because they're getting drilled day in, day out by Peter. They have a very quick jab, very snappy jab on the move, you know, when they want to sit down in the jab, they can do that too. They have a great jab. Brilliant job, very hard to get past.
One of the things I've noticed about both of the Furies seem to have the right hand up and the left hand pretty low. So there's always that possibility the overhand right could come over the top and nail them. how easy is it, or how difficult is it for you, obviously, to get to that point where there's the opening? And is that really an opening there, or is that more of a trap for them to counter for a right hand?
That's a trap. And that's a hard.
That's what I thought.
You know, they have their hands down, their lead hand down, and they switch styles. You know, they'll switch to southpaw, they'll switch back to orthodox. They'll never stand in front of you for too long. They're always on the move, side to side, working angles. And you don't get that in heavyweights nowadays. You know, they're doing stuff that it's just that we didn't see in heavyweights for a long time. They're working angles, working jabs. You know, it really is the sweet science what they're doing. You know.
Yeah. I think that's something Tyson don't get enough credit for. I thought in the first fight with Klitschko, his feints really took Klitschko out of his rhythm. What are some of the crafty things that you've seen? I don't think he gets enough credit for how crafty he is and how dedicated he is to the sweet science.
It's unbelievable. Tyson.
You have to repeat yourself. Can't hear you. Start again.
Tyson's his feinting is unbelievable. You know, he'll rarely throw a punch without feinting. He always.
Sorry, Liam, you're gonna have to mute yourself because it's feedback's coming in and Con's speaking. Go ahead, Con. Try again.
What I was saying about Tyson is
You're gonna have to start again, Con. I can't hear you. I don't know what's wrong. You're still not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Try again.
What about now?
Bit better. Try again.
No.
No, you sound like an elf at the moment. You gotta get louder because people want to hear what you're saying.
Is everybody muted?
You hear me?
Try again.
No.
No, can only hear a little bit of you.
Wait. I don't know. Is it the reception here or what, man?
There you go. Perfect.
Good.
Yeah. Now say what you're saying. Sorry.
Saying is that Tyson, his feinting is brilliant. He feints before every punch he throws, you know, and it's always has you guessing, second guessing what's coming, when it's going to come. And then when it does come, it's lightning, you know. He's a great jab. When he changes, when he doesn't want to get hit as well, and he wants to take a break, move around the ring, you're not going to hit Tyson. When Tyson goes into defensive mode, you're not going to hit him. He's such a big man that's able to move so well. Changes southpaw, changes orthodox. He's a nightmare. He really is a nightmare to spar and to fight with when he starts doing that. So I honestly, with this fight with Klitschko, I can't see it going any other way other than Fury decision or maybe a knockout, because what else can Klitschko really bring?
Right. Con, I got a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm on record on saying this on my show. I said I feel Deontay Wilder can give Tyson Fury problems because Deontay Wilder is such a straight natural athlete. This dude play basketball. He's very agile. He's not a big heavyweight. He's 6'7", 220 pounds. So he's very agile. He does let his hands go a lot. So I felt because of his athleticism, that could give Tyson Fury somewhat of a problem. Would you agree or would you disagree?
I would, in the sense of the athleticism. I think that Deontay is the top athletic guy in the heavyweight division next to Tyson. I think Tyson's very deceiving. The way he is very, very athletic, you know, and it's deceiving. I didn't pick up on it until I was actually in the ring with him. You can't see how athletic he is until you're in there with him. But Deontay is very, very athletic, very long arms, great punches, massive punch as well, massive power. I think that'd be a great fight, and hopefully we see that now maybe next year.
See, I think your nails, Deontay Wilder's like clumsy, and I think Fury just outbox him. So like,
I think he'd rush in
differently.
I think the way I see that fight going is Deontay trying to box, getting frustrated, then rushing in and just getting picked off.
Yeah. I think Tyson was stopping from just the quality Tyson's got, because, like you said, his footwork and his handwork are so underrated and.
So underrated, it's unbelievable, and I had to put my hands up as well. I said it to Tyson and to Peter that I didn't actually realise how good he was till I was in there with him and started looking at him day in, day out. I didn't realise how athletic he was. It's crazy. size of
Well,
him.
let me stop you there. So I know what it's like when you, as a boxer, you go in the gym and you look at a guy, yeah, he's all right, but he ain't all that. And then
Yeah.
you get in the ring. When did you realise that, the guy that I thought he was isn't the guy I think he is? Was it being at the end of a left jab, a right hand, a right cross, a switch up? What was it that made you realise, this guy's better than I thought he was?
It was I found that out quick enough because we were actually in sparring and we were coming near the end of the spar. I think it was like the 11th or 12th round, and he was a bit tired. You know, he had hard sparring. He was switching sparring partners in and out every round. So I was coming in fresh, and I decided to try put it on him. But once he started to move, that was it. You cannot land the glove on him. Once he starts to move, switching southpaw, great jab from the southpaw stance, great jab from the orthodox stance. He's the full package, you know. And I didn't realize it, like I said, until you're in there. Honestly, you're in there. It's a different ball game with him, and I think that actually might have caught a lot of his opponents, especially Klitschko. He did not realize how good of a boxer he was till he was in there with him.
So when he was at the press conference and he took off his top and you saw his big gut, should people really look into that, or just know once again that Tyson's just playing mind games?
I don't think so. I think, listen, Tyson's a massive man. If he doesn't train for a week, he'd be the type of guy, I think, to put up a stone or 2 stones, you know, in a week without eating, without training, eating crap and all. But when he puts the head down and he gets into camp, the weight flies off him. He really gets in shape, does everything perfect. So always come fight night, he's going to be right, you know. So I wouldn't buy in too much into that. I think it's a bit of my games from Tyson. He likes to get in people's head.
What's your philosophy as a boxer yourself? What's your philosophy, your foundation, your style in terms of how you're going to go about as a heavyweight boxer? If I didn't see you box before, what would be your foundation and what you're about?
I think I class myself as a boxer puncher. I'm technically sound as well, but if it gets down to the nitty gritty, I'm more than happy to indulge. So that'd be it.
Does that mean you don't mind a good old scrap every so often?
If it's needed, if I can win the fight by just boxing the head off him, I'll do that. But if I need to take it into the trenches, I'll do that.
Now I do have some connections in Ireland in terms of the heavyweight division. You've got Niall Kennedy. How much do you know about Niall Kennedy?
I know him very well. Good friend of mine. Boxed him a couple of times.
Yes. And Sean Turner.
Boxed him a couple of times as well. Another good friend of mine. I know all the guys. Boxed them all through the years. So.
And how did they do?
In which now?
In terms of when you boxed of them.
Oh no, I beat the 2 guys a couple of times each. Yeah. As I said, I didn't get beaten in Ireland at senior level at all. I was never beat. So yeah, I boxed the guys. I had good fights. I had a very good fight with Niall Kennedy. I had some great fights with Sean Turner as well. But yeah, I came out on top in all of them.
Do you see yourself ever going back to Ireland and boxing in Ireland and possibly picking up the Irish title, much like the way Tyson did?
Yeah, I think maybe. I think I'd be. Honestly, I think I'd be ready for that right now. I think I'd be able to go back and fight for the Irish title for what's there now, being honest. But I'm just going to listen to Peter, and whatever direction Peter sends me in is what I'm going to do, because he hasn't steered me wrong so far. So whatever he says goes in my book.
Now, you made a statement earlier on. You said that you looked at the heavyweight division, and I might be putting you in a bit of hot water here. But you said you looked at the heavyweight division, and you wasn't too impressed with some of the fighters you saw. So there was obviously something that you saw that did impress you. What is it in the heavyweight division that's not impressing you at the moment?
Boxing ability. That's what's not impressing me. There's big, strong guys, fit guys. There's a lot of guys as well from over in the States. You know, NFL players switching over. Just big, strong, fit. But they don't have the fundamentals. A lot of them don't have the fundamentals, you know. They're just strong, fit guys, and if you take that away from them, they have nothing.
Any names in particular come to mind? Or are you going to avoid that one?
I won't start dropping names, not yet.
I thought we'd get some exclusives tonight.
Kyle, can I ask a question, please? I think you said before that you were going to go out to America and train, and you decided to go with Peter. Do you reckon a lot of more like Eastern European fighters who go out to America will start like looking at the British scene and think success breeds success, so I'm maybe better off going to the British trainers because they're doing so well now rather than going out to America and choosing them sort of trainers?
Definitely. That's what I was thinking when I was in America training. The heavyweight scene over here was, well, not just the heavyweight scene, boxing in general, the heavyweight over in Europe, especially in England, is booming. You know, they're world champions after world champions, and they're flying it. But especially the heavyweight scene, they have Joshua, they have Fury, they have Yui Fury, they have all the guys, the Chizoras, all involved in big fights. So I was thinking this is the place to be, and then when I got the opportunity with Peter, I took it with both hands.
And you've seen what quality they've got to offer. Do you reckon there'll be a point as well where the fights like Kovalev versus Ward, not two Americans? Do you reckon there'll be a point where us English fans are boxing so much that fight would happen here, and that would probably sell out at the O2 rather than in New York that only do 10,000 fights, where in England that would probably sell out.
In England, that you know yourself over here, the fans over here are crazy. They love their boxing. They're very, very switched on about their boxing as well. Obviously, there's a lot of casual fans, but there's a lot of serious boxing fans over in England and Europe, and a fight like that was set out in minutes over here, no doubt about it.
I prefer y'all's crowds over there, man. I love how rowdy y'all get, man. I love the chanting. I love watching UK fighters, man. I go to the stream every chance I get to watch it.
Do you know what I can't wait for you lot to see? I cannot wait for you lot to see, because it's probably one of the first times a decent opponent has come over to fight an English guy. I think you're going to see the love for Golovkin and appreciate what English fans see in him. That's what I hope you see as well.
Definitely. He might get a bit of stick at the start, but when the fight's over, he'll get his dues 100%, because, like I said, they're not just casual fans. They know they're boxing, and have to appreciate what Golovkin's doing and what he's done.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now I think the reason why I like UK fans because whether they're casual or hardcore, they have respect for either style of a fighter, whether he's a boxer or he's a fighter. So I definitely like that, because just like Rigo when he fought Dickens, they showed him some love, you know. So I like that. But my question to you, Khan, is how difficult for you was the switch from amateur to pro? Because now you realize you're in the deep end of the pool now.
Yeah, I found it hard, tough enough now, to be honest. But luckily, it might be a blessing in disguise the way things went with me inactivity. My first year, I was in America getting trained by Virgil Hunter and for a year. And then when I'm coming to Peter, I always pick stuff up very quick anyway. But it took me a while, because as an amateur I was a mover and a counter puncher, always on my toes. They're trying to sit me down a bit now, a bit more relaxed on my feet, you know, not moving so much, and starting to get the grips of it now, and I'm looking forward to putting it into practice.
What was the main difference you've seen between the two?
The two of them are very similar, believe it or not. I was actually only speaking to Peter about this lately. Very, very similar in styles of training. You know, they're technical, very, very technical. It's not just... It's really about hitting and not getting hit. It's the science of the sport. That's what they're teaching. I think they're like old school trainers, you know, and I don't think there's many of them left. Well, let me correct myself. They're not trainers. They're teachers. That's how I see them.
So it comes back to the question I asked you earlier about respect to the fighter you can't hit and respect to the fighter who would take your best punch. You said you'd respect the fighter who you cannot hit more.
100%, all day, man. No doubt about that. I'd always respect the fighter who can't hit, because listen, anyone can get in the ring, hold their hands up by the ears, stand in the middle of the ring. If they're a hard man, take the shots for as long as they can. They'll probably get blown out there after 5-6 rounds. The crowd might cheer and say, "Oh, he's hard man, he done brilliant, he gave it a go." But for me, I prefer to see a guy making a fella look stupid, move around, box the ears off him, then when he's ready to go in and get rid of him.
Question about Virgil Hunter. I'm a big fan of Virgil Hunter. Smooth talking, very softly spoken. He's gone. Oh no. Where's he gone? Must be his battery must have gone. I was just getting into the Virgil Hunter. Oh man, I wanted to know about Virgil Hunter. Oh man.
You know,
yeah,
Ingrid,
that's my boy's favorite fighter trainer also.
very good chat tonight, man. Everyone's like, this has been one of the best chats tonight, man. I've got to admit. It's been good to get you American brothers over here and for them not to share their opinions as well.
I appreciate it.
Bo, you were saying something.
No, I was saying that Virgil Hunter is also one of my favorite trainers as well. Emmanuel Stewart, a lot of the old guys, ASO, a lot of the Customato, a lot of the older guys, and guys who have that mindset. They're my favorite trainers because they're all about the sport. Period. Like, they're all about the sport of boxing because that's the brand to them, and they have that mindset that the boxing should come before anything else. It should be boxing. It shouldn't be money, ratings, and all this stuff, then boxing. No, boxing should be first, and that's what I like about them guys.
See, what you've just said, even was having like two fighters on who took a different perspective about training, where Darnell Boone said you should learn basically in a ring, and Rock said basically you should learn in the gym. You should have hard fights in the gym. What would you think is like better to do?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Liam?
I said England was like two interviews with Rock and with Tyrone Boone, and Tyrone Boone said you should learn like basically have the wars in the ring. Mm-hmm. And Rook said you should basically have the wars in the gym to learn about wars before you go into a fight.
Yeah, you know what? I think in that aspect, both of them have a point because it depends on the fighter. Sometimes, like when I was going through amateurs, I remember at Windy City Boxing Gym, the guy back then, Sam, who was running it back then, he would actually sometimes put some of his guys, the amateur guys, in it with the professionals. Now, it was good experience for some of us, but the only problem is sometimes those professionals some of them would kind of jump on you. So, but then you would get guys that would take it too easy on you, like certain other gyms I would go to, guys would being too easy on you. Then you would go to the fight and realize, well, this guy ain't going to be as easy on me as that guy. So I think it depends on the fighter, but that statement really isn't wrong because some guys do learn better on the job than versus you trying to actually just take them easy. Some guys will go, like Lomachenko, some guys learn a lot better on the job.
Would it go back to what fight you're preparing for as well? Would that make a difference in what approach you take in the gym before a fight?
Yes, like Khan alluded to, and like I asked him, there were times when I would go to the gym and I would see guys and I'm like, okay. But then there were times I'm about to get in there and I knew that he was just that dude. So I better be just a little bit more serious here because I know this guy will get me.
Hey, Ingram, there's a major fight that's happening around the time of Brook, and it's actually happened on the same day as Brook and Triple G. We haven't even touched on it. And it's Carlos Kudros and Roman Gonzalez, and I think it has just a bigger impact on who's going to be number one pound for pound, as you know the fight we did focus on, which was Andre Ward and Kovalev.
Good question. That is a good question. That is a decent fight as well.
Yeah, it's an excellent fight. Carlos Kudros isn't no cherry pick. Roman isn't just going up there to get a title snatch. He's in danger in this fight, and I think that we haven't really touched on that, man.
Okay, if you guys could talk about that, I've got Abel Sanchez wanted to have a word, but just you guys keep talking.
I'll be quick on that point. I haven't seen much of Carlos Kudros. I've seen a lot of him on ES News as well, where he's been built up quite well in there, where quite a lot of fighters get good access on that channel as well. So as much as I don't like the guy who presents it, he does get quite good access to certain fighters. So I've heard a lot about him, but what I've heard, I'd expect what I've seen as well, Gonzalez to beat him. But it's an interesting fight just for the way, I personally, I respect Robert Garcia. I think he's a brilliant trainer, and I think he's brought his family have produced a lot of world champion fighters as well. So I respect Robert Garcia, and as well, he learned of his dad, and I think he's teaching his son as well to be a boxer, so keeping the family as good and passing skills down. But so what I've seen, I don't think HBO will probably be making that fight if they can't see Gonzalez with, and I believe that's probably the first fight since he fought Triple G. It's the first card he's been on his own. Is that right? Or
Yeah, since he started being on the undercard of Triple G, this will be the first time he's been on his own since then. I think Roman might be in a bit of trouble. Carlos has power in both hands. He can give Roman enough movement to negate some of his aggressiveness. As a pressure fighter, Roman's special. He is absolutely special. His movement, his feet are almost always in perfect position. But what happens though if he can't hurt Carlos, and Carlos, being the bigger man, is able to start pushing Roman backwards? You haven't really seen what Roman fights like off his back foot. And I'm really interested to see how this fight plays out, because Carlos got power in both hands, man.
Well, what I'm more interested in seeing is we're going to get into the mindset of Roman Gonzalez in this fight, because Cuadras can put that little bit of doubt in Roman Gonzalez's head. And that's when we'll see the mental makeup of Roman Gonzalez. Now, Maroon Williams pushed Roman Gonzalez, but I think Cuadras will push him just that extra little bit when he walks back to that corner. He might think to himself, man, what have I gotten myself into? And then we'll see what happens from there. But I still favor Roman because Cuadras still has not faced anybody like a pressure fighter who can give you angles and, who's on that elite level as Roman also. So
are they headlining?
It's a 50-50 fight.
On the card? Is that a headline?
Roman's going to get hit. Roman's going to get hit. He gets hit. I think he's going to get hit more in this fight than he has in several of his last fights. He throws so many punches. Go ahead.
What did you say? Hold on, Liam.
Yeah, I said, is that the headline on the card?
Is that
who?
The headline, like their main event.
Is it the main event?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the main event.
So as well, it'll be interesting to see how well he does on his own.
I think he's had has he had one main event on his own before on HBO? I think he did have one.
I don't recall him being on his own since he started being on the undercard at Triple G.
Okay. I thought I might have been on one, but you could be right.
I thought the same. Before every fight he's fought on HBO has been on the Triple G undercard, so I was intrigued to see how other fans are going to see him on his own. And if he does do well on his own, then fair play to the guy. They've built him well, and that's a model maybe other people can look out to build in younger fighters as well.
Yeah.
And this fight also sets up a mega fight in that division with Naoya Inoue down the road. If Naoya can win on the 4th, because he's got a fight on the 4th too that we haven't spoke about either. The guy he's fighting, I think he's got four losses already. But in the low weight divisions, you don't get to navigate the same way you do in the bigger weight divisions.
Yeah, but the guy he's fighting, the guy that Inoue is fighting, he has I think his resume, his last 4 fights were guys like 32-20 or 20-15 and something like that. So I think Inoue is taking this fight because remember he just had surgery on his hand. So I think this is a fight to see how his hand is going to be coming back from surgery.
He hurt that.
A question I'll ask Concini after seeing the success of Nicola Adams in the Olympics, coming like one of the first people in years to be like a 2-weight Olympic champion, and everyone can watch the success of what UFC have done with Ronda Rousey and building her as a fighter. Do you think I believe Nicola Adams has the charisma to transgend, and if someone give her the opportunity to transgend and fight fighters, she would succeed. What more could world promoters, not just English promoters or world promoters, do to take the same route as UFC and trying to expand the sport with women as well? Because obviously Nicola Adams, she's done something special in the last few years, and I don't think she's obviously got the credit probably what she's achieved. So I think I believe the last British boxer was in the 1920s. If I'm wrong, quote me, but.
Well, you also got Cecilia Bracas from Brazil, and I'm just talking about obviously
Colin Sheehan was in like the amateur program. What he thinks women could do to like transcend into the pros, because obviously Nicola Andon has done probably the most she can do to transcend into that.
Your voice, can't hear you.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying completely. With Nicola, 2 gold medals. I think she won 1 or 2 world championships as well, did she? She's great, but I'm not sure. Is there a platform set up over here for them yet? Because we had a girl from Ireland, Katie Taylor, so she was one of the main reasons why women's boxing was in the Olympics. You know, after clearing up, I don't know how many world titles, 5 world titles, 7 European world titles, Olympic champion and all, and she got beat this year, but same kind of thing, you know. I just don't think there's a platform for it. If there's any girl for that, I think in America could do. They have the middleweight girl, Shields, is she middleweight? Sarissa Shields, is it?
Yes.
She's a beast. Do you know what I mean? So maybe if she she goes pro and they start getting the publicity like they done with the Ronda Rousey, you know, we see what happened to Ronda Rousey. She was, in my opinion, the biggest height job on the planet, and they made her into a superstar, you know. So hopefully they can do it with real fighters like Carissa Shields, Nicola Adams, and the likes of them, because you have to give them their due. They're putting the work in, they're getting the results in a very hard game, and they're not getting their just dues because of their gender, you know, in this sport. So that's it, really, isn't it?
That's true. Absolutely. You know. Guys, Con, how do you see, if you're going to talk about the British top 10, all right? Let's talk. You've got David Price, you've got Derek Chisora, you've got Dillian White. First of all, Dillian White, Derek Chisora, who wins that fight?
That's a fight I'd like to see. Very similar, isn't it?
You think that fight's going to happen in October or November?
I see that, yeah. I see there was talks about it. I don't know. I wasn't overly impressed with Chisora, his last fight. Or not Chisora, Dillian White. Even though he won very comfortable, probably won a shutout against, what was the guy's name?
Dave Allen.
Dave Allen, yeah. Very convincing, but he was just a lot of punches, but very light punches. Done the same thing for 10 rounds, you know. It'd be a good fight, him and Chisora. I think it'd be a war, you know. I think the two of them have this attitude and ego about themselves that they won't take a step back when they're fighting each other. So I'd like to see that. Yeah, I think that'd be a great fight. I'm 50-50, a real 50-50.
So you said before you weren't impressed with the Dillian White fight with Allen.
Dave Allen.
What did you think with the fight of Dillian White versus Anthony Joshua?
I thought that's the thing. That goes back to what we were talking about levels. When you see a guy at a level that you know you can't make mistakes with, you up your game. Dillian White obviously didn't feel threatened against Dave Allen as much as he did Joshua. The way that fight was built up, and he put in a massive performance. He could have. Listen, I think he was very close to winning that fight. If he was a bit more experienced, he could have knocked Joshua out in the second round. I think, was it the second round? He rocked him.
Yes.
You know, if he's a bit more experienced, and even if he got out of that round where he got knocked out and where Joshua put the boot down, and I think if Joshua didn't knock him out in that round, he would have been spent. I think that was kind of, he was tired as it was. He hurt him, and he just said, "Okay, I'm going for broke," and he got him out of there. But it would have been interesting to see how it would have went if Dillian White got out of that round.
See, I thought that Dillian White got a lot of hype off of just that check hook, because it rocked Joshua. But Joshua made all the right adjustments after that, and really it was his fight from maybe the third. I think he took the third round. It was either the third or fourth round, whatever round after he got rocked in. It took him that round to get back to normal. But once he got back to normal, I think mentally, it was just his fight. He made all the right adjustments and showed that he was the better fighter.
Also, how much of that fight come from the amateur fight?
That's
a lot of the build-up was built on the amateur fight. Joshua losing that fight.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think Joshua went out there trying to destroy Dillian White for the things Dillian White was saying.
Well, also, here's something that I thought Dylan White went in there believing what he did to Joshua in the amateurs, he can do it to him in the pros. Because, like you said, think about the guy he fought after he fought Joshua. He fought a different type of fight. I truly believe Dylan White felt, hey, you know what? I can run over this dude because I did it in the amateurs. And not realizing that, like you said, there's levels to this. A guy, as he goes up through.
I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, you've got to realise in that fight, Dillian White employed a trainer who was Tyson Fury's trainer. So what you got to ask him, what was he advising in that fight?
Yeah, that's true.
And if that fighter Banks is advising Dillian White that fight, what was he inviting? He was a trainer for Klitschko as well. So what was he advising him?
That's true. That's true. I mean, oh man, that's
because obviously I'm the same. Because a lot of people will probably look at Dillian White's choice against AJ, employing Banks as a wise choice, but other people have said obviously before that wasn't a wise choice because Banks is maybe I don't sound like I'm disrespecting a guy, but maybe he's a puppet and don't say what he thinks. He's like a yes man.
Who is that?
Jonathan Banks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you're not playing devil's advocate. You're not playing devil's advocate if someone like James El-Bashir has told you straight what it is. He's not devil's advocate. I mean, I can't say that Klitschko has improved under Jonathan Banks. If you could say he has, then fine.
But I'm not Ingram. I'm not going on Jonathan Banks. I'm going on the response Dillian White was getting off Jonathan Banks because that was Jonathan Banks' big opportunity to impress himself out of Klitschko. That was the opportunity to tell him.
You can only do what you know, and the thing is.
Well, if you don't know nothing, then don't do nothing.
Well, this is my point. I mean, if you've been winding up the clock with Klitschko, and all you've been doing is letting Klitschko go, then you've got to train a different guy. It's a different matter altogether. How good a trainer are you outside of Klitschko?
That's what I'm asking. Like.
So, there's question marks about Jonathan Banks. There's obviously question marks, and Dillian White made a decision to go with Jonathan Banks when he fully well knew Jonathan Banks' main focus was going to be Klitschko. And I said before the fight that Dillian White wasn't fit, he wasn't ready, he was going into a fight with an injury, but he took the fight because that was the only opportunity he had to fight Joshua. But I knew that before going into the fight. So he went into the fight with an injury. He wasn't in shape going into that fight, but he took that opportunity.
So you go back. No, so Ingram, you go back to the point us lot made to Darnell Boone earlier, where recently after Dillian White lost to Andy Joshua, he got a promoter called Eddie Hearn, but before that he didn't have one, did he? So it's going back to that point. If you had a decent promoter before that fight, they would be telling him, listen, Dillian, you have a few fights before that, you learn your trade, you have this fight, you have that fight, like Tyson Fury did, like Peter told Tyson Fury, you learn your trade before, and then you go into that fight, and once you're into that fight, you're obviously, I can't guarantee you're going to win, but you've got a better opportunity to win. So I think a manager is a very good point. A lot of young boxers should be taking things. Because a lot of fighters who just come on this channel have said they take a lot of advice from the managers, and a lot of their managers they believe in, and they're friends still today. So is a manager more important than a promoter to a fighter?
Well, but we also have to ask ourselves this question, because just like with managers, just like with trainers, the problem is, like, we all know. Well, I'm gonna speak as a fighter. As a fighter, I know going with the manager or going with the trainer, where most of the majority of his focus is going to be. It may not be on me. It may be on his top guy. Okay? But also I'm going to judge, is he giving me enough to make me effective? If not, I got to make a move. So I think all of them are important, because each one of them has to make sure the proper amount of attention, the proper amount of training, the proper amount of attendance, and all of that is being directed out towards you by each one of them, equally. And unfortunately, in boxing, we run into a problem now where that's really kind of hard to come by because one may be doing one thing and the other, like nowadays, you got fighters doing a promoter's job themselves. So,
yeah, Joe, I agree with you, and you obviously like everyone in this chat's part of the YouTube community. But how many of us are having this conversation? And how many of us are having this conversation? There's not many people out there. Ingram banged up to me the dark side of boxing. There is not enough people, journalists like I say. Ingram was me. There's not enough journalists who are discussing this. Discussing like, yeah, the fighter's not taking this fight, but why is he not taking this fight? A great point Ingram brought to me. Every boxer should have their own YouTube channel because from their first fight to the last fight, the winner or the loser could be making money from seeing that fight, rather than some random guy making money who's posting on YouTube, who's like seeing that fight. Why not give it to the fighters? And even if the loser lost the fight, the winner and the loser get 50-50 from everyone seeing that fight from YouTube, because everyone makes money from YouTube. I won't take credit for that point. Ingram brought it up before.
Let me throw it another way to both the Americans. I'm saying both the Americans for a good point. Now, intellectual property. I believe, in my opinion, that no boxer that's been on HBO or Showtime or one of those big networks should end up broke at the end of their career. No boxer should. And here's my point. Those fighters should be able to make money on royalties every time their fight is shown. Every time a Tyson fight is shown, every time a Holyfield fight is shown, every time a Foreman fight is shown, every time an Ali fight is shown, they should be getting money for that. But do you know who gets the money for that? HBO will get money for that. Showtime will get money for that. Lou Duval will get money for that. Bob Arum will get money for that. Don King may get money for that. But those fighters don't get any money for that. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, but I think they would have to actually write some of that into the contracts. Like that would be, I guess, a job of the manager to make sure that type of stipulations are in the contract to say, hey, we want to own some of the royalty, maybe not all of it, maybe like a music artist, they don't own everything to their music because the company they're with but they're gonna own some of it, man. They're gonna get some of that money.
I think what you heard from Peter yesterday, he said 5%, 10%. The manager takes a part of it. Peter a few weeks went perfectly. Hit the 5-10%. The manager takes out of it. The lion's share goes to the fighters. And as us as fans who are obviously hardcore fans who are passionate about it, we need to spread the message to fighters, get out to them when they're young, and I don't feel like other YouTube communities are doing that. They're just feeding to the media rather than asking the serious questions. And the issues with Ray Smart as well, like, it's a serious question. Why should the fighter not get royalties to that fight?
Good question.
That's you know what, and we talk about this, me and Malachi. We had a real deep conversation about this. The problem is what we originally said when we first started. Some fighters, see, boxing does not have, like the NBA, NFL, hockey, and all of them. They have a union. They have a commission in charge of stuff like this. Well, boxing doesn't have that. Boxing is free capitalism run amok. And the problem that you have is a lot of these fighters, as they're coming out, if you're not the man, then you're not going to be able to get that type of stipulation in the contract. And then on top of that, just like right now we're talking about Gennady Golovkin, he's having a hard time getting a big money fight because, of course, some guys don't want to fight him. So when a big money fight opportunity pops up, he has to take it. But the problem still lies is what happens after Kell Brooks. So something should be in place to make sure as fighters that happens. But the problem, again, is if you're not the man or the focus, it just doesn't happen for you.
Can I put another argument back to you? All of us here, the interview with A-Rod, yeah, right? Ingram asked him what Emmanuel Stewart advised him, and the answer was, you stay with your trainer, and your trainer should be your manager.
Mm-hmm.
And that, he said that was the same format he used with Hagler. So
Yes, you know what, that's again, you're talking about a guy who has that old school mentality that I was talking about. Because your manager, your trainer was your friend, your father, your manager. You sat down, you ate with him, you went shopping with him, you did everything with your trainer. Okay, yeah. If you and your wife got into it, you went to your trainer's house and spent the night to cool off. Okay, your trainer, you would ride to work with your trainer. You was up early. If you was up early, your trainer was up early with you. But a lot of times, what you have nowadays going on is a lot of these fighters don't have that mentality in their head because they want everything to be on social media. They want to be in control of everything. They feel like they're entitled without earning it. So there's a huge gap of communication between trainer and fighter that was never there back in the older days.
So ask this question. Should a trainer be a father figure or a brother figure?
Oh, that's a very, that's a very good question.
You're talking about a trainer mentor. You were talking about a proper trainer, an old school trainer was a trainer and a mentor. Today, a trainer holds pads.
I think the father figure trainer, and this is from my experience and from what I've seen in boxing, the father figure trainer, if you look at it, guys like Emmanuel Stewart, guys like Customato, guys like Ray Alcel, Lou Deaver, guys like them that were father figures, look at how their fighters turned out to be versus guys who were just trying to be their friend or their brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that was a really good question.
Dangerzone.
Malachi.
Going back to the part he was talking about, your manager being your trainer at the same time. I don't know about in this day and age if I want my trainer to be in control of my finances to that point. You know what I mean? If he ain't got a degree, some type of degree in finances, I don't know if I want him having any type of control over my finances or be negotiating my finances or anything like that. That's just me personally.
No, fair enough. Joe, is this having the conversation and playing like devil's advocate? What is the best option to take? And there's not a lot of options fighters can go out there and listen to this sort of stuff because about you two, but I've not heard other podcasts speak about these issues before.
You know what though, Malachi? Do you feel that your trainer? I'm not saying he has to be that, but he should be involved in helping you pick that because he may have some insight of his. I mean, if you truly trust your trainer, he should be in the process of helping you pick out the right accountant to handle your money. That should be the same guy to handle his money also.
So Emmanuel Stewart's format, you'd agree with? You don't need a promoter. Stick with me, and I will guide you. I will guide you at the right time. I will tell you what fights to have.
I don't think Emmanuel. He was in my eyes he was just completely awesome. Right? So I would do whatever Emmanuel told me to, even you know what I mean, probably without thinking. No.
Yeah, I think you know what, you have to build like what's also a lot of we have to also take into account this. Like I think somebody mentioned Virgil Hunter, and the reason why it works with Virgil Hunter and a lot of his fighters is they're with Virgil Hunter from the beginning, from birth to the end of their careers with Virgil Hunter. They're with him. And a lot of these other trainers, Customato, even Stewart, when your trainer is with you from the ground up, there's more trust built there versus when there's somebody you're just going to because, oh, he's good and he's a name I can have behind me to help me get to that money fight.
Do you know, that's exactly the same reasons why I love the Garcia family. I believe they have done great with their fighters. Brandon Rios from Vargas, from Mikey Garcia, all of them. I respect Robert Garcia so, and his dad, Big G. And I think he's teaching his son as well. Like, to see that in a family, I think it's like so refreshing as well. As much as I like Ellie, he does get great access on them. He does suck dick. We cannot deny, but he gets great access on them fighters, Robert Garcia's fighters, and he shows them in a true light where we can all say, we know them fighters. We know what their personality is. We know what they stand for, and we know how they're going to fight. So
Well, as long as they learn to move their heads and use lateral movement, they'll be great fighters.
England, I agree. I think they're great.
We're in an age
that
where we
family's
can't even
great.
get legit trainers. We can't even get legit trainers. We got trainers that aren't training anybody for defense, man. Just go out there and offense. And you see dudes getting beat up, their careers shortened, and now we talking about trainers as managers, not just trainers. And we
But
can
do trainers not have the best insight? The trainers not have the best insight how to manage the fights because they've been there and seen it.
Yeah, but you know what though, Brandon? The reason why a lot of these trainers that we're talking about, and I'm not knocking them, but some of the trainers have to deal with the fighter's mentality that isn't the same way that they're used to seeing the fighter's mentality as being.
And do you know what, truth is not about backing them. It's just about other people getting the conversation out there and exploring every possibility. Because there's not people out here talking about it. There's not. Like,
no, it's not.
We're on YouTube talking about it, and we're having a true debate. But you look at the newspapers and online, and everyone's sucking dick. They are.
Because money's been pushed around and certain people have an agenda, and therefore if your hands are tied and you are a puppet or a muppet, as what I say, this is what happens. So this is another debate that has to be had another night because we are out of time now. It's 12:30 here. So I'd like to thank first of all Liam for doing the show tonight and moderating.
Ingram, I haven't moderated. I've just been chatting to you because I've got about 7 mates in the background telling me to come outside. So
you brought up some really good stuff, man. I really enjoyed listening to you, man.
Yeah. We need to have this conversation again between us four, man.
Absolutely, we'll definitely be doing this again very soon. Shout out to Dangerzone. Before we finish, let everybody know where they can contact you and.
Yes.
Do your thing.
You can find us on Facebook, Dangerzone Boxing Talk. You can go through your search engine and just search us, and or you can use my tag name. My tag name is #BC Left Hook, and you can find us through that.
Beautiful stuff. And my man, Bo, close us out, man.
You can find me at Truth and Facts about boxing on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter. We put up little snippets at Truth_FactBox1. And you can also catch me and Malachi and talking boxing and stuff. And you can also catch me on the podcast, The Movement.
Guys, thank you all so much. This has come to the end of the show. This has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. It's good to have people in the room talking boxing. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, but the bottom line is that we can have a good, wholesome conversation without people being insulted or people taking things personally, and really get in depth. We've had Sheehan on tonight. We've had Darnell Boone on tonight. Abel Sanchez tried to get on as well. So it's been a lot of people in the room tonight. And, of course, we had Jack Sunderland. Thank you to him as well. Been a great show, a great night. We've got to do it again. Thank you all. This has been Ingram Jones and friends on BaylorIC TV. I'm out. Guys, stay on the line. I'm just going to end the broadcast. I'm out. Take care.